There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information...
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
The president threatening to ban TikTok.
The president threatened to ban TikTok over fears that the Chinese government could get access to users' private data.
We may be banning TikTok. We may be doing some other things. There are a couple of options.
The issue with TikTok is not the funny videos. The issue is the data. And that data is captured by a company that ultimately is owned by a Chinese company that ultimately must do whatever the Chinese government tells them to do.
TikTok has admitted that it has sent user data to China.
And today, the president faced a chorus of anger from TikTok users.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
You accused Dr. Deborah Birx of the Coronavirus Task Force of spreading disinformation about the pandemic.
I don't have confidence in anyone who stands there while the president says swallow Lysol and it's going to cure your virus.
Catfight?
The House Speaker on another network just said that she does not have confidence in either the president or you, Dr. Birx.
I will stake my 40-year career on those fundamental principles of utilizing data to really implement better programs to save more lives.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Clinical trials that have looked at the efficacy of hydroxychloroquine have indicated that it is not effective.
It eradicates the symptoms. It eradicates the virus. We see patients day 1, we put them on hydroxychloroquine, they come back day 7, day 10, and they're negative.
Safer than Tylenol, for sure. Aspirin and Motrin.
Unchained and unstoppable.
Because, folks, it's my coaches say it's go-to time. It's go time now.
Yeah, that's it. It's go time.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Taylor, why don't we have the cut of the president telling people to drink Lysol? Where is that cut?
I actually have never been able to locate any soundbite where he says that.
You know, it's interesting because the New York Times and their assorted alt-left minions are pushing for no debates, not because Joe Biden has senile dementia, but because President Trump would lie and he would make things up. Now, I would say that if you accused someone of urging people to drink Lysol, would that be an example of making bleep up? Drinking Lysol? I mean, she's even got a brand now for it. Not just some generic bleach, but a particular brand, Lysol. Is this good for Lysol's sales online? Is Lysol getting a bump on the, whoever makes it, is that getting a bump on the stock market today, the stock? Is Lysol a publicly traded stock?
Howie, we call that the Jenny's ice cream effect. Nancy Pelosi names the brand, they just skyrocket.
Can I get me, does Lysol have different types? Do they have like lemon lime? And then grapefruit and raspberry, pineapple, and do they have different? Do they or does it come in like the shampoo flavors like peppermint and lavender? Lavender Lysol, that might be delicious. All right, 844-500-4242.
What's the best chaser that goes with that?
Madam Speaker, do you prefer your Lysol on the rocks or straight up or shaken, not stirred?
What's that about?
844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. Where are the stories about Bill Clinton being accused in sworn court depositions of being on Pedophile Island with 16-year-old girls and 15-year-old girls? Where are those stories? Do you remember how they promoted around the clock for years the fake news stories about Donald Trump and the Russian hookers peeing in his hotel room, and the stories about Carter Page being offered an $11 billion bribe, and the stories about Michael Cohen going to Prague, all of which turned out to be utterly false. But they weren't even sworn statements. They were just included in documents paid for by Hillary Clinton's doomed campaign. And yet for years we heard nothing but stories about the Russian dossier. But yet here's a sworn document with a name attached to it. And it was given under oath, and no one reports it. Nobody will touch the story except the conservative talk radio and conservative media websites. 844-500-4242. How about this story? I hope we can find this woman, the grandmother who turned in her radical, felonious, just out of reform school grandson who was trying to burn down the federal courthouse in Portland, Oregon, and while wearing a $26 Icons vest that his grandmother had bought for him. You know why she bought it? Because he told her, Nana, those dirty G-men are shooting rubber bullets at me. I need some protection. And I guess Nana told him that she didn't have enough money to buy him a full-fledged bulletproof vest. So she bought him a $26 vest from the local department store and talked about how great it was. And he was posing with the pictures. Oh, it's a great story. So the problem for this kid with the hyphenated last name, Gabriel Agar-Berryhill, and again, he just got out of a reform school. The problem is that Nana has a username on Twitter, Trump's Girl 2020, at Trump's Girl 2020. He knows I'm against these riots big time. He chose his poison. Oh, no. Oh, no. And now he could be going back to the lockup. Only this time it won't be a reform school. It'll be a Bureau of Prisons facility. Police said the concussion from the explosive device that this young felonious hipster tossed could be heard and felt more than a block away. There was a private chat room which is used to coordinate protests and riots in Portland. Holy bleep, that was the loudest explosion I've ever heard, wrote one in the chat room. I felt that in my bleeping bones, wrote another. Oh. It was a $26 bulletproof vest he was wearing as he tossed the bomb at the courthouse. His nana said he had spent the past 2 years at the Rogue Valley. That's an interesting name for a reform school. Rogue Valley Youth Correctional Facility, and had recently talked of, you guessed it, turning his life around. Oh, he was going to get a job at Amazon. Fox, this is because her name is Fox, that's Trump's Girl 2020, said that when she last saw her grandson last week, he told Nana that he was peacefully protesting and protected a girl. Apparently that's that naked hooker, Naked Athena, as she's known as. He was using a shield to protect the naked hooker. I believed all of his stories, Nana said. I don't condone any of this. I am amazed at all of these events. So when it came out, when the cops started closing in on him, he asked her to delete the photo of him wearing the vest and to remove her comment about the purchase. So this is what he said after he was as the cops were closing in on him. The device I've been accused of allegedly throwing was allegedly given to me by an unknown protester with full face coverings. I was allegedly told that it was a strobe firework that wouldn't damage the building or harm anyone around. What's up with all these allegedlys? This guy's got a bad case of adverbitis, allegedly. Now he's allegedly been arrested. He's in custody. 844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. We got a lot planned for you today here on the Howie Carr Show. Give us a call, 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
He's suave, he's debonair, he's Howie Carr.
I recently had a dental emergency, and where did I go? Perfect Smiles. I've said this before, but this reminded me again of what a perfectionist Dr. Houghton is. He is a veneer engineer, a world-class dental artist. Being on TV, it's important that I look my best. Dr. Houghton did that for me, and he can do it for you too. Right now, when a lot of people don't want to go into the city, Perfect Smiles is conveniently located in Nashua, New Hampshire, and parking is free. I was impressed to see all the state-of-the-art safety protocols that Perfect Smiles has taken since the virus. You'll feel safe and confident when you visit Perfect Smiles. Call 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, or go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on the Perfect Smiles banner. You can also see my video at PerfectSmiles.com. Perfect Smiles. Change your smile. Change your life.
Here's 1 minute of CNN's Don Lemon.
What do you say to those Trump voters who prioritize the economy over the president's bigotry? I have a big announcement, and it's somewhere on my body.
Because the biggest purveyor of fake news is the president in this country, because he does it a lot.
I'm just going to speak from the heart here. What we have witnessed was a total eclipse of the fact.
If you thought I went hard in 2019, watch 2020, baby. There's more to come. I'm a soldier. I'm ready to fight.
Talking about the cost of this parade and where there would be tanks, right? And would there be nuclear weapons? Americans, are you mad as hell? I wouldn't normally address this. As a journalist, I don't really like being the story here. Kanye West, entitled to his own opinion, but is not very bright and not very, when it comes, I'm talking about this issue, not overall. So we have to stop demonizing people and realize the biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right to the right.
We all shop online, and now you could do it a better way with Honey. Honey is the free online shopping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart. Just download Honey to your computer and shop on all your favorite websites like normal. When you check out, just click the Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. Then watch your price drop. Honey works on nearly every online store, including Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Macy's, Etsy, and more. And Honey has found over $2 billion in savings for its users. That's why it has over 100,000 five-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. It's 100% free to use and installs in seconds. Plus, it's backed by PayPal, so you know it's secure and reliable. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. So get Honey for free today at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
You are known as a cheap bastard. Which one of your daughters is the cheapest and why?
Charlotte is the cheapest, and I say that because she's always using my credit card. We keep changing the credit cards over and over again, and she keeps busting in and using them again. Most recently, just this week, she spent $75 at AT&T.
What's the cheapest thing you do now to save money?
The cheapest thing I do currently to save money, I guess, is I take all the bottles and cans back to the market basket every weekend. I always like to save that that money. You know, I can't stand to throw those bottles and cans away and have the unclaimed returns go to the state of Massachusetts for illegal aliens.
Do you recycle?
Yes, I do recycle. When I got on the town meeting, I saw that the town dump was probably the only department in the town that was running in the black, and it's because of all the recycling that was going on. So I try to keep my taxes down that way.
This is Karen from Billerica, Massachusetts.
This is Adrian in Swanton, Vermont.
This is Miss Susan up in Warner, New Hampshire. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
I don't have confidence in anyone who stands there while the president says, swallow Lysol and it's going to cure your virus. You'll kill you and you won't have the virus anymore. I'm not have confidence in somebody when the president says it's a hoax, it's magic, it's going to go away by magic, it's a miracle, and all of those things.
Well, if you can't find the Lysol cut, can you find the cut where he says that hydroxychloroquine is magic? Oh, it's magic. I know. How come nobody ever does a fact check or gives her 4 Pinocchios for talking about Lysol or magic or anything like that? Okay. 844-500-4242. Today's poll question is sponsored by our friends at massfiscal.org. MassFiscal has led the charge against tax increases, most recently opposing the horrible TCI gas tax. And if you're wondering why we didn't talk about that on Friday, they waited until like late Friday night to pass the TCI. It was a vote of 142 to 17. And that means that about half the Republicans in the state House of Representatives in Massachusetts voted to double the gasoline tax. That's what it amounts to. It's pretty horrible. We're going to have somebody on later in the show to talk about that, a state rep. We're looking for Representative Dave DeCoste to talk about this. Sign up for free to get your information on these abominable tax cuts. Sign up for free at massfiscal.org. Now, massfiscal.org. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Which treatment would you take to help prevent contracting coronavirus? A vaccination, hydroxychloroquine, or I'm not worried about contracting the virus?
I'm not that worried, but I would take the vaccination. I believe in vaccines.
You'd take the vaccine that's been hurried out and
I would take,
minimal clinical trials.
Give me a double shot
over the 70-year hydroxychloroquine, which has no adverse effects to the body.
I just don't. I'll take the vaccine.
All right, you're in the super minority. 19% would opt for the vaccination. 34% would take hydroxy, and 46% are not worried about contracting the virus at all.
I'm not that worried, but I'll take the shot. I always take the shot. Every year I take the flu shot in the fall just to stop the chances of having to sit out for a few days. 844-500-4242. All right. Kim, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Kim.
Hey, Howie. I love your show, but isn't it going to be great that Portland punk is going to be in court, in the courthouse he tried to burn down? I just love it.
I know, I do too. I can't get enough of it. And he's just so he's what was he trying to protest? He committed a felony. His nana wouldn't tell the papers what felony that he committed to get into the reform school. But it has to be pretty bad, doesn't it, Kim, to get into a reform school, especially in a blue state like Oregon?
Oh, absolutely. You have to really distinguish yourself to be put away nowadays. I mean, it used to be a lot different, but you really have to stand out in the crowd.
Right. And now he was wearing that when he posed with the naked Athena, the quote unquote sex worker. He was wearing his boss vest that Nana spent $26 to buy him, and now he's looking at some serious time. And he just has to keep putting allegedly in all of his tweets or all of his his text messages to Granny. Thanks for the call, Kim. 844-500-4242. 508. I can't wait to leave Massachusetts. I've had it. Why don't you guys find a sound clip from The Naked Gun when Leslie Nielsen talks about drinking a bottle of Drano? Is there one? I didn't know that. We were also looking last week for the cut of him saying the old neighborhood hasn't changed. I think that's from Police Squad, one of the Police Squad movies, where he's driving through this slummy area. Everything is covered with graffiti. It looks like the Hatfield Federal Courthouse in downtown Portland, Oregon. 844-500-4242. 561 says, Carr's playing the numbers. Any long-term side effects that the vaccine may have, Carr's not going to be around to see. Oh, I hope to be around to see him. I'm just saying I don't have that. I don't have that. I think a vaccine might be more effective. That's all. And I'm gonna go with the. I'm gonna for once believe the testing and say that they've done enough. They will have done enough testing so that I believe that the vaccine won't kill me. Why would the vaccine kill me? I don't think the COVID-19 is going to kill me unless you have comorbidities and you're very, very old. I'm just very old. I don't think it's going to kill you. Pat, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Pat.
Hi, Howie. I'm talking about Trump and chlorine. He never said the word Lysol.
No, of course not.
He was talking about hydroxychloroquine, and he turned. There was a doctor there who was talking about one thing or another, and Trump said something like under his breath, well, is there something like a chemo, he said, where you could put chlorine in chemo? And I'm positive that he saw the same two doctors that I saw who are doing research on chlorine for lung problems. And it was about the same time. I didn't write down the date I saw that press conference, but I remember vividly how he turned and in an aside said, like chemo.
Yeah. This is just ridiculous that she is able to get away with just making something up out of whole cloth, kind of like Christopher Steele in the dossier. Or all the reporters in the New York Times and the Washington Post and CNN just making stuff up about Trump. And they never get any blowback. There's never any repercussions from lying. And saying that he told people to take Lysol, I mean, how ridiculous is that? Why doesn't someone just say, no, he never said that? Or if you believe that, Madam Speaker, can we have a citation? Where is it? We'd love to play that cut of him saying that you should drink Lysol. Can we have a citation, please? Where was that? Where is it on YouTube? Is it on any kind of website, any kind of Democrat website? Do you have him saying that? Of course they don't. 844-500-4242. 413 says, I'm with hydroxychloroquine all the way, baby. The vaccine will make you sick or kill you. Good luck. I'm Howie Carr.
I'm Kevin O'Connor, and I'm running for the United States Senate. The rule of law is important, but the pendulum has swung too far left. We need to return to common sense solutions. We need a government that trusts the people. We, the people. I've been a litigator my whole life, fighting for people and fighting for what's right. And if you elect me, I'll fight for you in Washington. On September 1st, vote for me for U.S. Senate. I'm Kevin O'Connor, and I approve this message. Paid for by Kevin O'Connor for U.S. Senate.
Alexander Hamilton said, "Those who stand for nothing will fall for anything." This is Toby from Cape Gunworks. When our founding fathers drafted the Second Amendment, there was no question of its meaning. Today, if you have questions, come to Cape Gunworks for some advice, training, or to send a few rounds downrange. We have a fully stocked pro shop with a huge selection of guns, crossbows, archery, classes, rentals, a 15-lane range, and a friendly staff. Come on down to Cape Gunworks, Airport Road, Hyannis, or capegunworks.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who was your favorite actor?
Humphrey Bogart, no doubt about it. I love all the old Humphrey Bogart movies. Jimmy Cagney would be a close second.
Do you have a celebrity crush?
No celebrity crushes.
Ginger or Marianne?
I always was a Marianne person. Never was bowled over by that Hollywood look. Plus, Ginger was in more revealing attire, scantily clad.
Salty or sweet?
Neither, but if I have to pick, I'll go with sweet.
Movies or TV?
TV.
McDonald's or Burger King?
McDonald's, although I'd prefer Five Guys.
Facebook or Twitter?
Definitely Twitter. I hate Facebook.
Cake or pie?
I'm a cake guy.
Coke or Pepsi?
Diet Coke.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee, obviously.
Winter or summer?
Summer! Good Lord. Why would you want winter? It's cold and it's dark. Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally meant rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Can you remember any time in your life when you were starstruck?
One time I saw Peter Vesey, the NBA columnist for the New York Post. He was in the Herald sports department. I really liked his column, so I went up and introduced myself to him. Then one time there was Cousin Brucey from WABC, and I used to listen to him driving back and forth between Chapel Hill and Deerfield when I was in college. Everybody on the East Coast listened to him. I couldn't believe that I was in the presence of Cousin Brucey.
Do you ever play bridge anymore?
No, I haven't played bridge in a very long time. Nobody I know plays bridge. I think my bridge days are behind me.
Do you think you'd still be good at it?
I'm not a great bidder, but I know how to count cards. That, to me, is the essence of playing a hand of bridge, is to be able to count cards.
What is a rhino?
Rhino is a Republican in name only. Think Paul Ryan. Oh, think Mitt Romney. Think Jeff Flake.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
How did you come up with the name VB?
My first producer and I both had steady girlfriends, or we were married or whatever. And VB was always saying that we were whipped, if you know what I mean. Finally, I said, you don't even have a girlfriend. I've never seen you with a female. As a matter of fact, I don't think you have ever had sex. You are just a virgin boy.
What is your biggest fear?
That Donald Trump will not be reelected in 2020 and that some horrible Democrat will come in and finish off the destruction of this once great country.
Out of all of your daughters, who is the least like you and why?
Probably Charlotte, even though we went to the same high school, Deerfield Academy. She has a different sense of her responsibilities than I do. Let me put it that way. She has a different regard for money. She's not a cheap bastard, in other words.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
It's true what they say, cops and women don't mix. It's like eating a spoonful of Drano. Sure, it'll clean you out, but it'll leave you hollow inside.
Well, better that than wearing a mask for the rest of your damn life, I guess. Right, Leslie? 844, or was that the President of the United States? Was that Leslie Nielsen, or was that the President saying that? I don't know. I can't remember. 844 500 4242. Yeah. 917. Pelosi's Lysol crack is all part of the Democrat catechism. Mexican rapists and judges. Don't forget Mexican rapists and judges, as Joe Biden says. Charlottesville, inject bleach, inject Lysol, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, did you see that the president yesterday put out a few tweets about the Joker, Zokhar Zarniev, whose death sentence was vacated by the First Circuit Court of Appeals on Friday. Now they're going to have to make a decision whether to have a second death penalty trial. I think they're going to. But the president said the federal government must again seek the death penalty in a do-over of that chapter of the original trial. Our country cannot let the appellate decision stand. I agree with him. Rarely has anybody deserved the death penalty more than the Boston bomber, Trump wrote. Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. The court agreed that this was, quote, one of the worst domestic terrorist attacks since the 9/11 atrocities, unquote. Yet the appellate court tossed out the death sentence. So many lives lost and ruined. It is ridiculous that this process is taking so long. He's locked up in the Supermax in Florence, Colorado. And so his lawyer, David Patton, it's his lawyer, but it's our billable hours. We're getting the bills for these guys. You know, I mean, we paid for everything for the Joker ever since he came here as a political refugee and decided to learn how to murder Americans. He used his EBT card to buy the pressure cookers that they used on Boylston Street to blow up the Boston Marathon, killed 3 Americans. They shot an MIT, soon-to-be Somerville police officer. Another police officer almost bled out. His brother killed 3 Jewish drug dealers to celebrate the 10th anniversary of 9/11. And that was in Waltham. He slit the throats of the drug dealers and then sprinkled marijuana on their bodies. That's the kind of guy Speed Bump was, his brother Tamerlane. And so now his defense attorney, Tsarnaev's defense attorney, says, it is now up to the government to determine whether to put the victims in Boston through a second trial or to allow closure. Closure. Do any of the victims, do any of the 7 victims of Tamerlane and the 4 victims of the Joker, do they get any closure? What do they have to? Could they be reached for comment to allow closure to this terrible tragedy by permitting a sentence of life without the possibility of release? Who thinks that there's not a possibility of release? I mean, think how far left the Democrat Party has gone in the last 20 years, or the last 20 months for that matter. You don't think that somebody could let him go? I wrote a column about this, saying the president's right, that he must be executed. You can read my column at howiecarrshow.com. Just go to howiecarrshow.com. It's right at the top of the page. The headline, President Trump is correct. Dzhokhar Tsarnaev must be executed. The Joker is a mass murderer. 3 dead in the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing, and an MIT police officer gunned down in cold blood a few nights later, as well as another cop who almost bled to death. And then that's the beginning of the column. But check it out. Go to howiecarrshow.com and click on store. 844-500-4242. 727. Howie, every vaccine ever produced took between 10 and 20 years to come to market, except the vaccine for mumps, which took 5 years. I wish I'd have gotten the vaccine for mumps. I got mumps, and then I got shingles later. I wish I'd gotten one. Let's see. You will be a human guinea pig. They are skipping animal trials, which has never been done before in developing a vaccine. Good luck. 508, if the Watertown cops had been better shots, we wouldn't be talking about this. Hundreds of victims, Howie. You know what I feel like is the guy, he's now dead, so I shouldn't speak ill of him. His name was Hinneberry. He was the guy who owned the little house and the not the little house, the little boat behind the house in Watertown where he went. And Hinneberry needed a smoke. And his wife, I guess, didn't like him to smoke in the house. So he was locked up all day when they had that whole area on lockdown because they knew the terrorist, the Muslim terrorist Tsarnaev, was around there somewhere. And he noticed the bloodstains on the boat and called the cops, and they got to him before he bled to death himself. If only Hinneberry had been able to kick the evil weed and hadn't come out of the house, Tsarnaev would have bled to death, and all this would be a moot point. 508 says, tough luck for McVeigh not being tousle-haired. Also, Roger Stone wasn't tousle-haired either, nor was Carter Page. nor Michael Flynn. If you're tousle-haired and, Rolling Stone editors get some kind of, erotic fantasies about you, I guess you're okay. Or you go to a backyard barbecue in Cambridge and some NPR anchor calls you an all-American boy. 844-500-42.
It's the thrill that'll get you when you get your picture on the cover of the Rolling Stone.
Tousled-haired Muslim terrorist. I got mass help. I got Section 8. I got an EBT card. My sister-in-law's got WIC. None of us will ever work again. The great Satan will support us all. Luke, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Luke.
Hey, Howie, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, this weekend, I don't know how many Sarah Gideon commercials I saw, but I'm sick if I see another one.
With them allowing this quote-unquote ranked choice voting, Luke, she's got to be considered the favorite at this point, doesn't she? In the main Senate race against Susan Collins?
I guess, but where's all this money coming from where she can have these commercials? I mean, every like 15 minutes I see a commercial popping out.
Well, I mean, the Democrats have all the money. I mean, this is one of the great myths that the Republicans have the money. It's the Democrats who have all the money. The Democrats have Wall Street. They have George Soros. They have they have Silicon Valley. They have the legacy media. They have everything, Luke. Susan Collins has got a real problem. I don't know how she's going to deal with this ranked choice voting, but she's got to figure out a way pretty quickly here.
Very unfortunate. I hope we don't lose her.
Are you a big Susan Collins fan, or is it just you don't want Sarah Gideon? I'd put myself in the latter category, just someone who doesn't want Sarah Gideon.
Well, I mean, half the time she'll vote, the way I'd like her to, and it's definitely she falls into the latter category and then some.
Yeah. All right, Luke. Thanks for the call. 844-500-4242. Patty, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Patty.
Hi. I wanted to know if you ever interviewed Michelle McPhee about her book called Maximum Harm.
No, I haven't. I know Michelle McPhee. Obviously, I work with her at the Boston Herald, but I haven't interviewed her about that. No.
Yeah, I guess she's got a new book that came out this year called Mayhem, and it's all about the Boston bomber. Mm-hmm. Which is a pretty interesting background of it, and she has certain theories about why it was allowed to happen.
Right. Well, again, the FBI, which spent all this time trying to frame Donald Trump and Carter Page and Roger Stone and Michael Flynn, they didn't have time to investigate any of the heads-ups that they were getting from the Russian secret police that these guys were Muslim terrorists. And the older brother, Speed Bump, he actually went back to the third world hellhole from which he came so he could be trained as a terrorist while he was on welfare in America as a political refugee. And then he came back into the country and he didn't have a passport and he was allowed to come back into the country. I mean, from a hotbed of Muslim terrorism without a passport. And, of course, he did his job. He committed Muslim terrorist acts. That's what he was there for. I don't know. I don't know what the theory is, but I think they were guilty as hell. I don't think they were framed. That's for sure. Do we have a comment from Grandma of the Portland terrorist? Do we have a comment?
He's a good boy, a very good boy.
He just got a little bit of he had a little bit of a problem. That's all. 844-500-4242. Ratings crash for NBA and Major League Baseball after protest-filled debuts. It appears, this according to Breitbart, it appears TV viewers are not interested in what the increasingly woke leagues have to offer. The The ESPN's Major League debut numbers were underwhelming. Yankees, Nationals, 4 million. Dodgers, Giants, 2.8 million. So the Wall Street Journal was actually saying today it wasn't that bad. But the thing is, they were comparing the games from last year at this time to this year. I mean, this was the opening of the season in both cases, or the reopening of the season in the NBA, and there were very few people that were interested in seeing it. The charity golf match in May earned record TV ratings. That featured Tom Brady, Phil Mickelson, Peyton Manning, and Tiger Woods. That got 6.3 million viewers. So that's a lot more than Celtics Bucks got 1.3 million. 1.3 million. That's not much, is it? That's a national game too. Celtics Bucks. 844-500-4242. 781. Key point on the Joker is he is an adherent of the religion of peace. Yes, he is. The religion of peace. That's what George Bush always called the Muslim faith, Islam, the religion of peace. I'm surprised that he's fighting so desperately to prevent being executed because, if you die in jihad, which, he said he was in a jihad when he planted the bomb that killed the 8-year-old boy from Dorchester and the Chinese exchange student and the young woman from Medford. If you die in jihad, you go immediately to paradise and you get 72 virgins. I wonder what he wants to stick around, in the supermax for another 50 or 60 years when he could go right straight to paradise with his brother Speed Bump, and they could enjoy the 72 virgins. 844-500-4242. If you haven't tried Super Beats Soft Chews, you're missing out on a great way to get yourself a boost of energy twice a day and to do something good for your circulation and your blood pressure. The new product, Super Beats Soft Chews, combine non-GMO beets with a powerful new ingredient, grapeseed extract. The grapeseed extract used in Super Beats Soft Chews has been clinically shown to be twice as effective at supporting normal blood pressure as a healthy lifestyle alone. Better blood pressure means more energy the way nature intended, without the jittery caffeine or stimulants. Now you can take just 2 delicious chews a day, anytime, anywhere, to get the blood pressure support you need and the energy you want. We ran out a couple of weeks ago, and we just got some more, and I have some at home, and I have some here at the office. I take one when I get up, and I just chew it, open it up, and I take it out of its foil and chew it when I get up in the morning, even before I have my first cup of coffee. And then I just had one now before the show started because it gives me that boost of energy. You'll get into the habit of taking your 2 Super Beets. They taste like candy. They chew them. They're delicious, but they're good for you, and you'll love them, and you'll get used to taking them twice a day. Do what I did. Support your heart health with the delicious Super Beets Soft Chews. Get your Super Beets Chews today at superbeetsradio.com/Howie. And when you buy 2 bags, they'll throw in the 3rd one for free. That's superbeetsradio.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
Howie Carr. You can trust him. He's not like the others.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by the Barley House in Concord and Northampton, New Hampshire, bringing people together for a great time and great food, including fresh ground burgers. Their amazing staff is determined to make your day better. Check out thebarleyhouse.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
You are known as a cheap bastard. Which one of your daughters is the cheapest and why?
Charlotte is the cheapest, and I say that because she's always using my credit card. We keep changing the credit cards over and over again, and she keeps busting in and using them again. Most recently, just this week, she spent $75 at AT&T.
What's the cheapest thing you do now to save money?
The cheapest thing I do currently to save money, I guess, is I take all the bottles and cans back to the market basket every weekend. I always like to save that money. I can't stand to throw those bottles and cans away and have the unclaimed returns go to the state of Massachusetts for illegal aliens.
Do you recycle?
Yes, I do recycle. When I got on the town meeting, I saw that the town dump was probably the only department in the town that was running in the black, and it's because of all the recycling that was going on. So I try to keep my taxes down that way. With all the uncertainty in the world, feeling safe at home has never been more important. It's why I want to talk to you about Simply Safe Home Security. They're longtime friends of the Howie Carr Show.
and for good reason. Simply Safe has made it easy to finally get comprehensive protection for your home. There's no technician or salesperson that needs to come and disrupt your house. You don't need to pay any outrageous monthly fees or sign a 2-year contract. You just order online, set it up yourself in under an hour, and your home is protected 24/7 with emergency dispatch for break-ins, fire, and more. All for just 50 cents a day. And we're not the only fans of Simply Safe. U.S. News and World Report named Simply Safe Best Overall Home Security of 2020. Go to simplysafehowie.com to try it out for yourself. That's simplysafehowie.com to make sure they know that our show sent you. That's simplysafehowie.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who do you consider the biggest rhino in the Republican Party?
Probably is Paul Ryan. I wish a Republican were still the speaker, but Paul Ryan was scarcely a Republican. And there was a reason he was Mitt Romney's running mate, because we had a rhino ticket in 2012.
Where did the expression, "How many more, Mr. Speaker? How many more?" come from?
That comes from the State House. There used to be a state rep who sometimes would talk about atrocities that were happening in crime. And he would get up there and he would say, "How many more, Mr. Speaker? How many more?" And I just picked it up and it became a trademark.
Where's your favorite place to go out to eat in Palm Beach?
My favorite place to go in Palm Beach is probably the Honor Bar, which used to be O Bar, and you can get a really great hamburger there, and they have a great coffee machine that brews each cup of coffee individually.
Hi, this is John in the People's Republic of Amherst, Massachusetts.
This is Heather from Litchfield, Maine.
This is Kent, Wichita, Kansas, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
Because, folks, it's my coach used to say it's go-to time. It's go time now.
What the hell is he talking about? What did he mean by that?
He was trying to say it's go time, but he said it's go-to time. And then he said it's go time.
It's go time?
Yeah. Have you never heard that expression,
No.
It's go time?
No.
Never?
No, I never have.
It's go time. Let's go. Let's do this. It's go time.
Well, let's have cut number 10 too.
We put in our last administration $1.5 trillion. We're going to make that $2. That brought 30 off the sideline. I mean, billion. It's about 30 billion off the sidelines. People, when they know.
Really? How many times have I told him not to screw around with numbers? It's bad.
It's not only go-to time, it's time to go.
Cut 12.
It does say we the people, in order to form a more perfect union. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men know. We've never accomplished it.
You skipped a whole couple of
That
sentences
all men,
there.
we've never accomplished it. I'm not familiar with that part of it. I've never read that. That must have been in an earlier draft.
In order to form a more perfect union, we hold these truths to be self-evident.
We forgot the whole established... God.
In order to form a more perfect union.
Establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense.
Right.
I forget how the rest of the Schoolhouse Rock song goes.
He's addicted to starting off stuff that he cannot finish.
Right.
He loves to start sentences and then not be able to finish them. If I was one of his aides in the background, I'd be like, how many times do we have to tell you to stop doing that?
But it's the same things over and over again, like the preamble and the fact that he's talking about, I think, the stimulus from
He's a
2009.
big preamble guy.
Yeah.
I would be so mad when he came off the stage. I'd be like, no more preamble. I'm not going to tell you again.
Someone's going to have to
Joe."
write it on his hand. No preamble, no stimulus.
We should rename it the Preamble Ramble.
JT, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, JT.
Hey, Howie, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thank you.
On the ranked choice voting, I've always been against it. Everybody I know has been against it.
Right.
And a lot of people don't realize you don't have to vote 3 different people. You can vote just one person or put the same person all 3 times. If we can educate these people in the state of Maine, especially where I'm from, that you don't have to, that people think they do, and you really don't.
You can vote for the same person 3 times? Are you
Just put
sure?
the dot, boom, boom, boom. That no one's ever said you couldn't. It's not a law. They just tell you these are your 3 choices. What order? Well, I don't like 2 of them. I'm not picking them. I'm picking this guy 3 times.
See, I've never been sure exactly what happens if you don't pick the second person. You know, I have a feeling that was one of Bruce Poliquin's problems in 2018. We're going to have to talk to Bruce Poliquin about this and find out what the best way to handle this is. It's such a shame that they didn't get the signatures, or that I should say that the Democrat Secretary of State said that they didn't get the signatures, to be more precise. They needed 63,000, I believe, and they ended up with 61,000 signatures. Gee, what a shame. I wonder how many Republican Secretary of State would have counted. But elections have consequences, I guess. Gareth, you're next with Howie Carr. Quickly, Gareth, very quickly.
Hi, Howie.
Hi.
I'd just like to mention how they want to give that officer down in Georgia the death sentence.
Yes.
And they charged him with like 6 different things while they overturned the death sentence for a terrorist.
Right. I know.
It's disgraceful.
I know. How about the fact that they said he didn't have the jury pool was tainted? Was Roger Stone's jury pool tainted by the fact that the jury forewoman had been putting all this hate out on him on social media? No problem there. I'm Howie Carr. Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Usually we just brush it off or blame ourselves, saying things like, I lost my mojo. Or we avoid it altogether with excuses like, I had a long day at work. Or, sorry, honey, I'm just not feeling it. But with Roman, it is easy to talk about it. With a real doctor who can prescribe real medication. It's simple, safe, and totally discreet. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for erectile dysfunction, all from the comfort and privacy of your own home. The doctor will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, Roman will ship it to you with free 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward, simple, and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to GetRoman.com/Howie and complete an online visit. Erectile dysfunction used to be tough to tackle, but now there's Roman. Complete an online visit today to connect with a doctor and take care of it. Go to GetRoman.com/Howie today. If approved, you'll get $15 off your first order of erectile dysfunction treatment. That's GetRoman.com/Howie. GetRoman.com/Howie. I've seen a lot of Anchor cupcakes in my day. Here are some of the latest network nitwits.
And he says, if I'm elected president, I will push for a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on all members of Congress. Correct me, there already are term limits, so what does he mean?
And what are we hearing in the background? Is that shelling?
No, Katie, you're actually hearing that from here in Jerusalem, and it's actually fireworks going off right behind me.
We're in our tribes, we're in our corners most of our lives. I think we just heard some gunshots. Should we listen to that for a second? Control room? So that's not gunshots? Okay.
Ivanka is not the second lady. She is actually, I don't think she deserves this position. She's actually a senior advisor to the president. So the idea that he would demean her specifically in that way, he shouldn't talk about the first lady that way. We aren't all here to make salads for men. It's disgusting.
I mean, I'm presuming he was talking about Karen Pence when he said second lady.
Oh, God, I'm sorry. Not Montana. I'm talking about no, never mind.
Yeah, no, Chester, I mean, that's Republicans could add to that.
I don't know, I just was.
He's the gaffe that keeps on giving. Here's 1 minute of former Vice President Joe Biden.
You teachers who touch them, figuratively speaking, well, I hope you touch them and tell them how much you love them too. But my point is, when you touch their hearts.
I get in trouble with some of the things I say, but I want to tell you, just be straight up. If I'm your president, with me it starts here in my gut, it goes to my heart, and then I articulate it.
And by the way, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. $1.2 billion. So you go ahead and you stack spaghetti sauce at a store in a supermarket. You control the guy or the woman who brings out the carts on a forklift. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap, and I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
listening to the Howie Carr Show.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day. Once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
President Trump is clearly ethically unfit and intellectually unprepared to be the president of the United States. And I support Chairwoman. In the coming weeks, the House will hold hearings. Congresswoman Harris, Senator Harris. He's our president, and I would rather he not be taking something that has not been approved, especially in his age group and in his, shall we say, weight group, what is morbidly obese, they say. So completely inappropriate in so many ways that it's almost a given. It's like a child who comes in with mud on their pants or something. That's the way it is. They're outside playing. That's what he comes in with doggy do on his shoes, and everybody who works with him has that on their shoes too. But I only will do that if you tell me that this legislation is worthy of George Kirby's name. This moment of national anguish.
Here's 1 minute of Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
There's a lot of restaurants that are feeling the pain of racism, where people are literally not patroning Chinese restaurants. They're not patroning Asian restaurants because of just straight up racism around the coronavirus. So,
only in America does when the president tweets about liberation, does he mean go back to work? When we, have this discussion about going back or reopening, I think a lot of people should just say, no, we're not going back to that.
I know it sounds banal. Do we know how long puppies are allowed to stay with their mothers after a dog has given birth?
I don't.
8 weeks. Wow. So the market has decided that women and people who give birth deserve less time with their children than a dog.
So the whole premise of the Green New Deal is that we're screwed.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
And now, another minute of Madam Speaker, Nancy Pelosi.
But again,
you have these wings, AOC and her group on one side.
That's like 5 people. They would say, play games, and then they'd say, open sesame. Except we don't say sesame, we say open Biden. But no, because we are not. We have the number is growing. We have 91 women. There are 115 women in Congress, 116. 15 are Republican, 91 are Democrats. I happen to be a manifestation of the women power that is coming forth now, but only one manifestation. It was like getting kicked in the back by a mule constantly. It was physical. It was so unbelievable. The Times found Lincoln. Not to be presumptuous, to found us.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie.
Jim Acosta, without a doubt, wins the competition for Trump's least favorite journalist of all time. Let's listen to some of their feistier moments.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine...
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you...
When I raise money... Excuse me. I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN. All right. And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question. Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried...
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
The president threatening to ban TikTok. The president threatened to ban TikTok over fears that the Chinese government could get access to users' private data.
We may be banning TikTok. We may be doing some other things. There are a couple of options.
The issue with TikTok is not the funny videos. The issue is the data. And that data is captured by a company that ultimately is owned by a Chinese company that ultimately must do whatever the Chinese government tells them to do.
TikTok has admitted that it has sent user data to China.
And today, the president faced a chorus of anger from TikTok users.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
You accused Dr. Deborah Birx of the Coronavirus Task Force of spreading disinformation about the pandemic.
I don't have confidence in anyone who stands there while the president says swallow Lysol and it's going to cure your virus.
Catfight?
The House Speaker on another network just said that she does not have confidence in either the president or you, Dr. Birx.
I will stake my 40-year career on those fundamental principles of utilizing data to really implement better programs to save more lives.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Clinical trials that have looked at the efficacy of hydroxychloroquine have indicated that it is not effective.
It eradicates the symptoms. It eradicates the virus. We see patients day 1, we put them on hydroxychloroquine, they come back day 7, day 10, and they're negative.
Safer than Tylenol, for sure. Aspirin and Motrin.
Unchained and unstoppable.
Because, folks, it's my coach used to say it's go-to time. It's go time now.
Yeah, that's it. It's go time.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Welcome to the Howie Carr Show. And last week, the mayor of Washington, D.C. issued a proclamation. All residents and persons traveling to and from high-risk areas within the prior 14 days for non-essential travel must self-quarantine for 14 days following their return or arrival to the district. Now, 50 members of Congress went down to Atlanta, which is a high-risk area, according to Mayor Bowser, for the funeral of the late Congressman John Lewis. But guess what? They don't have to quarantine. Rules for thee, but not for me.
Are we making exemptions for certain people?
The mayor classified Congressman Lewis's funeral as a government activity. But if you go down to the funeral for your aunt in Decatur, Georgia, and you return to D.C., you will have to quarantine for 2 weeks. Just make sure you go to the right funerals. That's all I can say. Welcome to the show. If you'd like to join us, 844-500-4242, 844-500-4242. And with us is Grace with the news.
Hello, everyone. I am here to give you the latest and the greatest in news. I want to start with TikTok. TikTok is in the news a lot lately because President Trump is talking about banning the app. It is a Chinese-owned company, and there's a lot of security threats involved with it. But I have a story that's a little more entertaining for us about TikTok. I'm going to read you a tweet from David Hogg.
David Hogg of Parkland High School fame.
We're going to call this segment Before and After, okay?
He's a Harvard man now, you know.
Now, you're going to have to guess what changed in the before and the after. This is a before tweet.
Donald Trump came out against
Howie, you
TikTok.
have to let me read the tweets.
I could spot it, though. I mean, you gave it away.
3:25:20. This is what David Hogg tweeted.
March 25th.
TikTok is a national security threat that should only be used to call out the Chinese government, who controls it for their atrocities and human rights abuses. Seriously, y'all, memes and jokes are fun, but downloading the spyware of an authoritarian regime is not. Fast forward to August 1st.
After Trump comes out against
Imagine
TikTok.
being so scared teenagers are going to vote you out that you ban one of their top platforms for communication. And he got called out so heavy on Twitter that he came back out and said, just so for everyone saying, yes, I did say this. And for all the people screenshotting my old tweets, well, I do feel that TikTok is a national security threat, but I think that the reason Donald Trump's coming out against it now, blah, 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 trying to explain the fact, which is very simple.
Doesn't
he should
he
just
get
say
the Harvard Beautiful People exemption that he can just say whatever he wants and get away with it.
Well,
kind of like Nancy Pelosi accusing the president of promoting Lysol.
He's a hypocrite. I mean, that's what the tweet said. It was his way of explaining.
He goes to Harvard. Of course he's a hypocrite.
I'm a hypocrite.
He's an ass, a pluperfect ass.
They just don't think that Twitter applies to them. Like, we can find old tweets too, y'all. It's not just you. We can find them too. And speaking of hypocrites, I want to talk briefly because it is a big story, and I've been meaning to talk about it the last couple of weeks. And I'm just getting more and more intrigued about the Ellen DeGeneres story that is unraveling. Ellen DeGeneres is being canceled, basically. And I
thought she said she wasn't. First, they said that she was going to leave the show. She wanted to quit, and then one of her executive producers, who hasn't been fired, said that she's not leaving the show.
That no one's quitting the show. But here's what I find more interesting. I have seen more tweets from conservative pundits and journalists defending Ellen DeGeneres than any of her Hollywood left-wing friends that she's had on the show for decades. Jennifer Aniston, George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Justin Bieber, all these people came on the show over and over again. And can I get crickets, Taylor? I haven't heard one peep from anyone. In fact, the brother from Everybody Loves Raymond, the one who's like, Ray.
Everybody loves Raymond.
Thank you, Taylor. He came out and said, oh yeah, I totally, and I'm paraphrasing like I always do. He basically came out and said, oh yeah, I totally saw this when I was there. It starts at the head. She was, involved in the toxic environment.
Have any of these conservative talking heads ever been on her show?
No, but I think their point
Maybe that's why they're defending her, because they haven't experienced it.
I think they're defending her because they don't like cancel culture in general, and they don't like that once the mob turns on you, you're done.
You know, what I found interesting was that according to these stories that I've read, they had heterosexual sexual harassment and homosexual sexual harassment. You know, whatever which way you went, if you worked at the Ellen DeGeneres show, and you were young, you were going to be harassed.
They're an anti-discriminatory employer.
I found it interesting that she wouldn't let people look at her. That was one of her bugaboos.
That's a Hillary Clinton thing.
Don't look at me. I find that strange because if you're a celebrity and you love attention, wouldn't you want people looking at you? But they would send people into her and they would say, don't look at Ellen, don't talk to Ellen, don't even think about Ellen, leave Ellen alone.
What happens when Hillary Clinton and Ellen DeGeneres get together? Because neither one of them allows the other one to look at them. I mean,
they both turn to stone. Yeah, so that will be interesting to see how it unravels. I mean, even like Obama and all those politicians, they loved, Obama went on her show. Remember, he danced. That was his, big moment coming into the mainstream. And no one's defending her. Everyone's just letting her get canceled.
Is she gone?
Well, she came out with this statement on Friday where she basically said it wasn't my fault. It was everyone who worked for me. I couldn't, control what happened.
What did Mike Dukakis used to say when he was running for president? The fish rots from the head.
Yeah. The buck does not stop at Ellen DeGeneres' coffee mug. It keeps going. In other news, speaking of Obama, he has released his list of candidate endorsements, notably skipping Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So he says it's just the first round of these, so he might, come out later and endorse her. We all know he loves a late endorsement. Joe.
Doesn't do much good, though.
Yeah, no. And
Just ask Senator Coakley here in Massachusetts.
I think it's kind of ironic, though,
Clinton,
that Obama was he's obviously very into Obama. And he never really put in a lot of effort for Hillary Clinton. Like, it didn't seem very genuine that he wanted her to win. But now that all this stuff is being uncovered that would have never been uncovered if Hillary Clinton had been in office, it's interesting to see Obama now trying to scramble to get Trump out of there. Like, we want to take back the Senate. He didn't care at all when Hillary Clinton was running because he just didn't want to put in the effort.
Well, he thought they were going to win, too. He didn't think it was necessary.
But still, that's what you get. You're not supposed to just let it ride because you already got your shot. You're supposed to help your party win. And now it's all coming forward. Hopefully they release it soon. When we get back, Howie, I want to talk about a couple of recent polls, including Real Clear Politics, Rasmussen, and Joe Concha had a bit to say on what he thinks the polls mean for Joe Biden and Trump. Might be a tighter race than people initially thought.
I hope so. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
He didn't come here to be made sport of. Howie Carr.
The last few months have been a blur for all of us. I can hardly believe it's already summer. The folks at DiStefano Hair Restoration just launched their annual summer special, and this year it truly is an amazing deal. They are offering transplants starting at only $5,000. This is an amazing opportunity for anyone who has been thinking about hair restoration to take advantage of the lowest price hair transplants in New England. This is a limited time offer with only 50 spots available, so act quickly. Dr. Highness did a great job for me, and he will do the same for you too. DiStefano Hair Restoration is open for business. To learn more, go to hairman.com/Howie. You may have more time on your hands now, so take advantage of it and get the hair you've been wanting for years. People always stop me and say, it looks so natural. You can also see my before and after pictures on the website. DiStefano Hair Restoration has 5 locations in New England and is open for business. For more information on location openings, go to hairman.com/Howie. Get back your confidence and get the hair you've always wanted.
He's the co-sponsor of the Green New Deal, so what better time to play some of his greatest hits? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Frosty.
This is going to be a mission to save all of creation.
If you want to ignore that these changes are taking place and that they're having a dramatic impact, then you are in the right place.
Do you know what the winters were like at Plymouth Rock? Do you know what the winters were like at Plymouth Rock, Senator?
Well, here is the thing.
You don't. How long has your family been in Massachusetts?
We are new arrivals, and
Mr. President, American history was made last night. The Boston Patriots won the Super Bowl.
When the Second Amendment was written in order to maintain a well-regulated militia, they did not have in mind that people could purchase guns indiscriminately. The president is acting like Pontius Pilate.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally meant rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running
In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
Hi, this is Cindy from Osterville, Massachusetts.
This is Brett Rock from Dunstable, Massachusetts.
This is Amy in Lisbon Falls, Maine, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242. Today's poll question is sponsored by our friends at massfiscal.org. Mass Fiscal has led the charge against tax increases here in Massachusetts, most recently opposing the horrible TCI, that's Transportation Climate Initiative, gas tax. Sign up for free at massfiscal.org now. They passed it in the late night, early morning hours on Friday, Saturday, and by a vote of 142 to 17 with no media around. 142 to 17 to double the gas taxes in Massachusetts. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Which treatment would you take to help prevent contracting coronavirus? Take a vaccine, hydroxychloroquine, or you're really not all that worried about contracting the virus?
I'm not all that worried, but I'd take a vaccine.
23% say they'd go for a vaccine. 36% say hydroxy would do it for them. 42% say they're not worried about it.
I would do the hydroxy.
You would?
Yeah. I mean, it's been used for everything else. It's been used for malaria for years.
Yeah. But I mean, how long do you have to take it?
I think 7 days. It's like a Z-Pack, I think. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. All right, guys.
Someone thinks that Ellen's downfall was when she was at that baseball or football game with George Bush.
I think it was the Dallas Cowboys game.
Yeah.
She sat in a box suite with the Bushes, and then she went on her show and wouldn't apologize for it, and she basically said, they're friends of mine, I disagree with their politics, but we can still be friends. So yeah, that very well could be
That's probably
what did her in.
The end of the line
and
for Ellen.
And she wouldn't turn her back on Kevin Hart when the Oscars was getting mad at him for not apologizing for old homophobic tweets, which he had already apologized for. He refused to apologize again, and I think Ellen had him on the show to kind of talk about it. So that was also strike two. That's the thing. It's going to come for everybody. It's coming for Ellen now, but it's going to come for all of us.
Yeah, there was a great column in the Wall Street Journal today by a guy named Lance Morrow. He's I guess he's older because he remembers Joe McCarthy. He was an intern or a page when Joe McCarthy was in the Senate. So he's got to be like 80 or so. And he says, Joe McCarthy was a B-movie monster. Today's cancel culture is more like a zombie apocalypse. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good way to put it. It's much more ubiquitous. I mean, a lot of the people that were involved in the McCarthyite hearings, they knew a lot of it was overstated, and they let people work, just change their names. But these people don't want you to ever work again.
As a Democrat, or a Republican is a Democrat that's been mugged. But now I would say a Republican is a Democrat who's been canceled, because people are canceled all the time now. I don't think they really learned their lesson. But even when I start to feel, I take the Tucker Carlson approach, which is people should be able to say whatever they want and not lose their jobs. People's jobs should not come into it to a certain extent. Obviously, if you do something completely outrageous, but you should be able to voice your opinions no matter what they are without losing your livelihood. But it's interesting because these people who get canceled right now are the ones who started this, and they don't understand it, even after it happens to them. Sometimes a celebrity will get in trouble, right? And cancel culture will come for them. And then like a month later, it will fade off and it will come from somebody else. And that same celebrity who was canceled a month before, comes for the new celebrity and throws their 2 cents in. Nobody ever has the wherewithal to say, I've been there, it's kind of stinks, maybe we don't do this anymore. Everybody jumps on the next person like hyenas. I hate cancel culture. I hate it. Anyway, in some optimistic news, Joe Concha tweeted this out today. Seeing a few things in polling recently, Biden was up more than 10 in the RCP, that's real clear politics. Average on June 25th, that's down to 7.4 now. Trump at 51% in Rasmussen today after dipping
favorability, yeah.
After dipping to 42 in late June. Debates may be the whole ball game given Biden's play not to lose strategy.
That's why they're saying no debates, no debates. It's the clamor is getting louder by the day from the Democrats.
The fact is that I don't remember.
I mean, I know Twitter, someone told me this the other day. They said Twitter's 6% of the population and only 3% are actually active on Twitter. So you can't really base what's trending and stuff. It's not a real look at the universe. But some of the responses to Joe Concha's tweet scare me. Someone said, well, debates don't even show you anything. Why don't they just have them do pre-recorded answers and play them to the public? And someone said, the whole point of debates is how you answer.
Right.
Off the cuff.
Yeah, how you work, how you operate under pressure, how you ad lib.
The whole program would just be Joe trying to talk back to pre-recorded questions.
It's really.
Yeah, we've seen that show. That's the show that sometimes gets as many as 29 or 30 viewers on YouTube.
I know. Joe makes me look like a YouTube star. Hi, YouTubers. Florida reports lowest single-day increase in coronavirus cases since June.
We don't need to hear about that. Yeah, get rid of that. Come on.
Seth Moulton would not be happy with that. He wants all these red states to get their comeuppance, in case you haven't heard.
In case Seth didn't know this, the representative who said that he was kind of happy that the red states were getting their comeuppance. Seth, 63% of the victims in Texas are either black or Hispanic.
Well, this is what I find crazy. And I'm just going to focus. I know right now we're on Newsmax, so it's national, but I'm going to focus on Massachusetts for a second. Charlie Parker goes on every day about how we need to be responsible, and if it infects somebody, this is prime time. This is when we need to keep our guard up. But it seems like prime time would have been at the beginning with the nursing homes, because now we're keeping all these 20-somethings at home forever, out of the bars, out of the restaurants, and they're most likely not going to die from it anyway.
Most likely is an understatement.
Understatement. But he goes on there and yells at all of us, and I just keep thinking to myself, he keeps saying about responsibility. And when I think back to that press conference when he talked about the report ad nauseum, he didn't take enough responsibility to qualify yelling at all of us.
He's very concerned that the testing rate now in this state, Massachusetts, is 2%. Right? 2%. That's a big problem. But when the riots were going on and people were looting and shooting at cops in downtown Boston, torching buildings, the rate of infection was over 2%. And he thought that was a good thing.
So I had
because they were rioting, and he thought it was good. So
right.
if you're breaking the law and you get infected, you're a good guy. If you're not breaking the law and you get infected, you're a bad person, and he's going to have to crack down on you.
That's the thing, and people say, well, why don't you just wear this, or why are you so anti-mask? And I'm not really, but I just feel everything's so arbitrary. It's like one of these things is going to help and one of these isn't. They take your cell phone number down if you go to a restaurant, but then if you get a sandwich, they don't. So you're less likely to spread it picking up a sandwich than you are eating down. Like, the coronavirus just has this weird thing. It's very particular.
This is a great column today about how America lived through the Asian flu of 1957 by Dan Horowitz. We'll get to that. I'm Howie Carr. AmeriClean Sanitizing is providing state-of-the-art sanitation for your home or business. Using the HaloSil fogging system, it is able to kill 428 different viruses, including COVID. Hospitals have been using the HaloSil fogging system for years, and now you can too. The fog sanitizes everything, including keyboards, under the desk, and even HVAC systems. To schedule an appointment or learn more, go to AmeriCleanSanitizing.com. Take a look at their videos at AmeriCleanSanitizing.com and see how easy it is to kill the virus.
There's a lot to love about. There's a lot to love about you.
There's a lot to love about driving the all-new Subaru Outback. From its standard symmetrical all-wheel drive to its fuel efficiency, love all the 2020 Outback has to offer. Lease for only $249 per month for 36 months with $2449 due at signing. Details at SubaruofNewEngland.com.
President Trump is clearly ethically unfit and intellectually unprepared to be the president of the United States. And I support Chairwoman. In the coming weeks, the House will hold hearings. Congresswoman Harris, Senator Harris. He's our president, and I would rather he not be taking something that has not been approved, especially in his age group and in his, shall we say, weight group, what is morbidly obese, they say. So completely inappropriate in so many ways that it's almost a given. It's like a child who comes in with mud on their pants or something. That's the way it is. They're outside playing. That's what he comes in with doggy doo on his shoes, and everybody who works with him has that on their shoes too. But I only will do that if you tell me that this legislation is worthy of George Kirby's name. This moment of national anguish.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie. And now, another minute of Madam Speaker, Nancy Pelosi.
But again, don't...
You have these wings, AOC and her group on one side.
That's like 5 people. They would say, play games, and then they'd say, open sesame. Except we don't say sesame, we say open Biden. But no, because we are not. We have the number is growing. We have 91 women. There are 115 women in Congress, 116. 15 are Republican, 91 are Democrats. I happen to be a manifestation of the women power that is coming forth now, but only one manifestation. It was like getting kicked in the back by a mule constantly. It was physical. It was so unbelievable. The Times found Lincoln. Not to be presumptuous to put ourselves in those categories, but the Times have found us.
This is the Howie Carr Show, live from Chappaquiddick at the Party House. 25 years after Chappaquiddick 1969. On WHDH, News Talk 850.
Another bad song from 1969. 742-0850. We're going to take some calls this segment if you want to get on board. If you have any questions for John Farrar, the scuba diver who saw Mary Jo Kopechne's body underwater. The number again, 742-0850. We're going to start talking about the incident and everyone's perceptions. John, let me just get this straight. So now, as far as your belief is that while Ted Kennedy was walking past all these houses back towards the Party House where we're broadcasting from now, Mary Jo was still alive.
That is correct.
And she would have been alive probably for about an hour, you think?
I think that's most reasonable, and if an hour, if not longer, that's correct.
If not.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. At this time every Monday, we're joined by Joe DeGenova, the former U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, and we discuss the latest developments in the
ongoing saga of Obamagate, the Russian collusion hoax that has been used to try to delegitimize the Trump administration, and before that the Trump transition, before that the Trump campaign, and the powers that be in the Justice Department are trying to get to the bottom, but we talk about how much success they're having or not having. Joe, thanks for being with us here on the Howie Carr Show. And this is the first appearance you've made since Bill Barr's appearance last week before the House Judiciary Committee.
Well, wasn't that a delightful experience for both the viewers and
it was
and Bill Barr? What you saw on display at that hearing was the complete devolution of the Democratic Party into satire and tragedy comedy. It was perhaps the single most embarrassing congressional hearing I've ever watched. I've never seen such duplicity, dishonorable conduct deployed in the name of the House of Representatives. It was really embarrassing for those of us who have worked in the Senate and the House and performed legitimate investigative functions. Watching the smearing of the Attorney General, the rudeness to the Attorney General, the complete lack of decorum, and the obvious joy that the chairman, Jerry Nadler, was taking in this was, I must say, I've never seen anything like it in the House. I've seen some bad hearings where an individual congressman made a fool of himself, but the entire Democratic side embarrassed itself immensely. And I think they hurt themselves. I think it was so bad and so awful in every sense of that word that they did some serious damage to themselves, not only as a party, but individually.
Now, there was mention made by Bill Barr of something that I had known about before. I don't think most people had, that there's a U.S. attorney in, I believe, West Texas, by the name of John Bash, and he is looking in, apparently, to the unmasking of people other than the usual members of the Trump campaign and inner circle, like Carter Page, Papadopoulos, Roger Stone, Trump himself. Yes. Now, what do you know about this investigation that's going on? How many people are involved in this, or how many people were wronged by the previous administration, and how soon are we going to get to the bottom of this?
Well, the answer to how many people were wronged is hundreds of people. Now, what is this investigation about? Howie, you and I have talked about this for a year and a half. The FBI allowed 3, perhaps 4 FBI contractors, we don't know who they are, to illegally access NSA databases and unmask American citizens. Nobody knows what happened to that data or how it was used. The reason we know all of this is because the FISA court, in the form of Judge Collier, followed by other FISA court rulings by other judges, Judge Collier found that beginning in 2014, the FBI allowed these contractors to illegally access NSA databases with the names of Americans and then do what they call upstream data searching, telephones, emails, text messages, but also then the telephones, text messages, and emails of the people with whom those people were communicating. Right. You have an exponential, massive invasion of privacy, and that is what Mr. Bash is investigating. And may I say, this has been out in the public arena for more than 2 years. Judge Collier's opinion was available, even though it's turgid reading.
Right, it is.
You can try and find a story about it in the mainstream media, and you will find nothing.
So how soon is this report going to come out? Because this seems even more complicated than what Durham is investigating, and we're running out of time here rapidly.
Well, listen, the reason we're running out of time is because Rod Rosenstein began an outrageously, falsely generated Mueller probe, which stole 3 years of the president's agenda, and he couldn't get an attorney general confirmed until Bill Barr. Bill Barr has been moving with lightning speed. I think the Bash investigation actually is a lot less complicated than it looks, because the court already knows who the contractors were who illegally accessed the data. Mr. Bash has access to a grand jury. This is not a complicated matter. The NSA has the data. They know the people that were searched. The three contractors know what they did with the information. The issue is, who authorized the contractors to do this, and why did they do it? And the answer is, if you go down to Atlanta to John Lewis's funeral and you look at the ferocity of Barack Hussein Obama's false attack on President Trump, you know that the person behind all of this was Barack Obama. He knew that this stuff was going on. Eric Holder authorized this stuff. That's where they're headed. This is ugly stuff, let me tell you. And even though Barack Obama is not going to be indicted, he's going to be talked about in these reports and in the discussions. And I would just like to see him mentioned as president. They don't mention his name. They'll just say co-conspirator president number 40, whatever he was.
It'll be individual A. You know how it works, right?
Yeah, the big A. By the way, when you saw that speech that he gave, this total political, this incredibly outrageous, rude speech that he gave at John Lewis's funeral, you knew what this guy's all about. This guy is pure viciousness. He hates this country. He hates America. Sure, he wanted to transform it into Cuba. And he didn't get it. He was so lazy that he couldn't even figure out how to do his job. Unbelievable guy. I hope they nail his fanny with every fact about what he did. And he knew this was going on from day one. What a disgusting president.
This is why I don't think Susan Rice will be the vice presidential candidate with Joe Biden, because she's dirty. I would love it. That would be great. That would keep it in the news. Let's talk about the Michael Flynn case. The First Circuit Court of Appeals, the entire First Circuit Court of Appeals, which is majority Obama and Clinton appointees, is now going to take up the case about whether or not the charging should remain open on Michael Flynn, even though he will be pardoned if it comes down to it. What's the next step here? Are they going to actually hear the case or
yes? It's scheduled.
Go ahead.
Yes, it is already scheduled for oral argument. I believe August, sometime in late August. But here's what this is about. This is one of the single worst decisions of any federal. This is the first time in the history of the federal judiciary that an en banc hearing for a granting of a mandamus has ever been granted. Now, why did they do this? Why would they inject themselves into this when the law is so clear that Judge Sullivan didn't have any standing to ask for the rehearing, that the law is clear that this is a separation of powers argument, that Judge Sullivan cannot force the government to explain its position any further than it already has. He cannot force them to go forward with the sentencing when they say there is no case which they wish to bring. What is the purpose of the court doing this then, knowing as you game it out that the only thing that can happen is that the government will refuse to go forward? Judge Sullivan will say you have to. He'll hold the government in contempt. They'll immediately go up, and it'll go to the Supreme Court, and he will lose, and the D.C. Circuit will lose 9-0. They did this, the D.C. Circuit, for one reason. They vacated the June 24th opinion of Judge Rao, which lambasted Sullivan and Gleason, his ridiculous amicus. Now, why did they do that? They wanted the ruling against Sullivan obliterated from the record so it will not become part of federal law that will be reported in the law reports. But secondly, they wanted to give him a chance to save face by doing something bizarre and stupid at the trial court level. This is not the role for a federal appellate court. This was an embarrassing gesture for them. This is something that will haunt them now for the rest of their tenures on that court. This was an act of politics, not an act of law. And they showed it by the way they said, here's the question they want answered. Is there some other remedy available to the court other than mandamus in a situation like this? Well, as Joe Biden says, what a bunch of malarkey.
What about the New York Times is now going after the Federalist? Joe, you saw that, I guess.
Of course. Why not? They're the ones that find all these great people to be federal judges.
So the Federalist, the website where Sean Davis, Molly Hemingway, Ben Dementia, they all work there. And they do a fantastic job, as far as I could tell. Yes. And so the New York Times is now after them because they're pointing out that their Pulitzer Prize that they received with the Washington Post for 2017 was just totally bogus, and it was for reporting on a collusion and on a hoax about collusion that they had every reason to know was totally bogus. And so the New York Times responds by trying to slime the Federalist for calling them out. It really is something how far the New York Times has fallen, isn't it?
Look, Howie, it's not a newspaper anymore. That clearly, when you listen to the 1619 Project, when you listen to Dean Baquet's discussions with his staff, when you see the rantings of the staff when they go after Barry Weiss for her criticism of the staff itself, this is no longer this is not the gray old lady. This is a hooker. I mean, this is one of the worst institutions in America now. They perform no function that's legitimately recognizable under the First Amendment. And what they are doing is they are turning people against journalism. And that's been going on for some time. The Washington Post comes in second for abdicating its responsibilities under the First Amendment. And what they are doing is they're creating an atmosphere where when the right case comes along, New York Times versus Sullivan is going to be revisited. And the actual malice standard is going to be changed. Because the truth is, these newspapers are actual malice every single day.
Do you think the Covington High School kid got some money? The CNN was trying to putting out tweets making it seem like they really hadn't. The Washington Post and CNN had just given him basically a nuisance, get lost kid type settlements. Do you think he actually got some money, or was it just as CNN reported?
I don't think Lynn Wood is a boaster. I think he's a doer and an achiever. I don't think Lynn Wood, when he said he gave him a birthday present, was talking about walk-away money like $10,000 or $20,000. I think it's in the millions.
I hope so.
Because you know what? And I'll tell you why. Because the Washington Post cannot take a trial. Neither can CNN, because when you get into discovery on this, which the court was about to allow, that's when the damage is done, because that's when people start to find out the machinations that go on in newsrooms, editorial rooms, and that's what they cannot have come out. They paid a lot of bucks, believe me. They paid a lot of bucks.
I hope so. And I hope he continues going after the rest of these hookers, as you so aptly described the media outlets. Joe, thank you for being with us, and we'll talk to you again next week. I appreciate it. I'm Howie Carr.
The Howie Carr Show.
Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Good thing Roman makes treating erectile dysfunction simple, safe, and from the comfort of your own home. If approved, you'll get $15 off your first order of erectile dysfunction treatment. Get a free online evaluation today at GetRoman.com/Howie. If you're thinking of replacing your carpets due to pet stains and odors, you must try Genesis 950 first. It breaks down the bonds of stains and odors so they're gone from carpets and padding for good. You can use it in a carpet cleaning machine, and it's green, so it's safe for family and pets. It was the go-to cleaner for when Mr. Gooner had an accident, as older pugs so often do. Before you purchase new carpeting, you must try Genesis 950. 1 gallon of industrial-strength Genesis 950 makes up to 7 gallons of cleaner, and it's not just for pet stains. It's a disinfectant that that kills viruses as well. It's also great for kitchens, garages, grease stains, wheels, tires, and more. Save yourself the trouble of going to the store and seeing your favorite cleaner sold out again. You can just order it and have it delivered right to your doorstep. Genesis 950 is made in America. Order a gallon direct at genesis950.com. Enter code Howie to get more than a $10 value in savings, including free shipping and a free spray bottle with a 1-gallon purchase of Genesis 950. Go to genesis950.com and enter code Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Would you say you're more like your mom or your dad?
No, I don't think I ended up being like either of them, now that I think about it. My mother worked hard, but she never really learned how to make a lot of money, and my father didn't work so hard, but he had a good personality. He was good with people. He was better than me with people. That's why I'm saying I'm not like either one of them, I don't think.
Did you have any siblings?
Yes, I have a brother, a younger brother.
What was your favorite subject in school?
Well, all kinds of history. I loved all kinds of history.
If you could have 3 houses, besides the ones you already have, anywhere in the world, where would they be?
I wouldn't mind having another house in Palm Beach on Clark Avenue. Maybe a place in southern Maine. I don't need a third place.
Didn't you already have a house in Maine?
I did. It was on an island. It was not a good fit for the mailroom manager.
I've heard the house was haunted. Is that true?
Yes. And my wife didn't really care that much for my relatives. We all shop online, and now you could do it a better way with Honey. Honey is the free online shopping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart. Just download Honey to your computer and shop on all your favorite websites like normal. When you check out, just click the Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. Then watch your price drop. Honey works on nearly every online store, including Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Macy's, Etsy, and more. And Honey has found over $2 billion in savings for its users. That's why it has over 100,000 5-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. It's 100% free to use and installs in seconds. Plus, it's backed by PayPal, so you know it's secure and reliable. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. So get Honey for free today at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie. And now, some of my favorite fake Indian cuts of all time.
I'm not going to ask you for your favorite curse word. Actually, I am. Do you have a favorite curse word?
Poop.
Poop? Oh, that's a goody two-shoes favorite curse word if I ever heard one.
Are you kidding? Have you ever seen a woman like me look you straight in the face after you finished some long explanation of something and then just said, poop? Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
I am not sure what she's talking about as far as a rally with.
It was a rally in Bern, Oregon, is that you have to figure out who you are. I grew up in a family that was barely hanging on to the ragged edge of the middle class. And my Aunt B has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians did.
This is Kevin from Brockton.
This is Karen from Boiling Springs, South Carolina.
This is Officer Mark calling from beautiful Stratford County, New Hampshire. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
The First Circuit Court of Appeals in Boston vacated the death sentence for the Boston Marathon bomber, the Joker, Tsarnaev, on Friday. And President Trump tweeted about it and said the death penalty needs to be reinstated. If they have to have a new trial to reinstate the death penalty, he's still guilty of the actual bombing and the mass murders, but they're going to have to have a second death penalty trial. And the president tweeted out on Sunday that he was all in favor of it, and this thing had gone on too long. I agree with him, and he said that there should be a death penalty for this Muslim terrorist, and I agree with that too. I wrote a column about it. You can read it at HowieCarrShow.com, and it's right at the top of the page about the death penalty for Tsarnaev. He came in as an asylum seeker, which enabled him and his entire worthless family to go on welfare. They were supported by the taxpayers while they learned to be terrorists. They even used their EBT cards to buy the pressure cookers to kill American citizens at the Boston Marathon back in 2013. It's just a shame that he hasn't been executed already. But you can read my column at HowieCarrShow.com, and it's right at the top there. Check it out. David, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, David.
Hi, Howie. How you doing? Thank you for
Good.
taking my call.
Thanks.
I have a story to tell you. My wife, she broke her hip, and she went back into the hospital on April 28th and tested negative for the virus. On May 1st, they moved her into a care facility, and they didn't tell us that they had infected patients. Of course, she came down with the China virus, and they put her on a regimen of hydroxychloroquine, the Z-Pack and stuff. So she's cured. She's tested 5 times positive. In the state of California, that is counted as one person each test, not one person for 5 tests.
So in other words, she's down on the California coronavirus dashboard as 5 different people.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that going on in a lot of states, David, don't you?
Yeah, that's why the death is so low in California and the infectious rate is so high.
Right. And you know, David, the more tests you do, the more positive results you're going to have. And yet a lot of people who are testing positive, even if they test positive, they're in low risk groups, and low risk groups is basically anybody under the age of 70, unless you have an underlying condition, a comorbidity. I'm glad your wife recovered, David. Jim, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, Howie, Jim, Pennsylvania coal regions, the only Wild West towns east of the Mississippi. This concerns a comment that President Trump made about MS-13. That they were animals.
Yes.
Now, Howie, anybody who has a brain that doesn't rattle knows exactly what he was talking about.
Right.
And I watched Pelosi twist it to the point where Trump called Hispanics animals.
Right.
I think she's been in the basement with Biden. Maybe it's a radon exposure.
Well, what about more recently, Jim? Just today she said that she couldn't trust Dr. Birx because Dr. Birx had stood by while Trump said that people should inject themselves with Lysol. Swallow Lysol. Ridiculous. Yeah, you're right. She's off her game too. Thanks for the call, Jim. I'm Howie Carr.
Nowadays, seems like companies are running away from their own iconic brand so quickly you'd think they owed the money. Must be they figured that it's easier to improve the name than it is to improve the product. We here at Matthews Brothers have a different philosophy when it comes to our brands. Instead of naming our products for something that sounds grandiose, like the Super Duper Thermal Insul Shield 2.0, we prefer to use names that are actually meaningful to us. For example, the Sanford Hills, named for the youngest of the original founding brothers, Sanford Hills Matthews. A man who was a skilled craftsman as well as a teacher, Sanford Hills had a relentless passion for quality, and he inspired this passion in those with whom he worked. Always the first to arrive and the last to leave, Sanford never took a vacation in the 37 years he worked here, except to attend his only son's graduation from the University of Rochester in 1885. His passion for quality was his legacy and something that remains part of our fabric today. You can see the results of our continued relentless passion for making wicked awesome windows and doors, but only at Better Lumber Yards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. That's Matthews Brothers with 1 T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
And now, 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
It is a bill that is much needed for our farmers and ranchers. I think there are only 47 votes against it in the House of Representatives. The American people should know the source of it. Again, we are engaged in the year-end continuing resolution, Homeland Security. I'm not sure. No, I haven't spoken to him since he called the other day, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. And I talked to Chuck last night to say, we haven't had an answer. There are other things that are going on that are newsworthy, and I think you'd have more viewers or readers if people address concerns that people have. The list goes on about
Howie says it all the time. When it comes to bad politicians, Massachusetts takes the cake.
It is my honor to introduce to you your senator, my senator, Senator Elizabeth Warren.
I know who I am because of what my mother and my father told me.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Governor Deval Patrick.
And frankly, I got to tell you, with all the other things I'm worrying about, this is not one of them. We're going to be fine. I'm in charge.
Please join me in welcoming our own Senator Ed Markey.
The planet is running a fever. There are no emergency rooms for planets.
The very first African-American congresswoman to be elected from Massachusetts, Ayanna Pressley.
We don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice.
Let's give him a great Waterloo reception. John Kerry.
The Yankees posted the Boston Red Sox logo and they sang Sweet Adeline.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
Brace yourself, guys. Here's 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
I myself have always been for lowering the voting age to 16. I think it's really important to capture kids when they're in high school, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. That they wanted their voices to be heard. I don't think our colleague is anti-Semitic. I think she has a different experience in the use of words. That's not the total package, but there are some of the major points of discussion, I would hope, from sea to shining sea, because they are not getting paid 163 Republicans voted no. Wisdom from the kitchen of the Willard Hotel, yes, ma'am. The president either doesn't know what he's talking about or doesn't want to know what he's talking about.
President Trump's life has changed a lot in the last couple of years, but one thing that remains consistent, his love for a good nickname.
What happened to Mini Mike? Where's he? Mini Mike, I've had him up to here. Sleepy Joe has no idea what he's even talking. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. Sleepy Joe, get off the stage, please. I don't think the guy's got a chance. Sleepy Joe, I don't think he's got it. I don't know. I think Sleepy Joe may be able to limp across the finish line. Crying Chuck. I don't want to say Crazy Nancy, because if I say that, you're going to say it's a copy of Crazy Bernie, and that's no good. Who that judge? Alfred E. Newman. You know, I thought Pocahontas was gone, left in embers. I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year. Did you ever hear Pocahontas? It's Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren. Little pencil neck Adam Schiff. Got the smallest, thinnest neck I've ever seen. But Nancy Pelosi, I call her Nervous Nancy. Crooked Hillary. Crooked Hillary Clinton. Bill Clinton said to Crooked Hillary. Crooked Hillary, do you think he calls her Crooked Hillary, Mike?
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show. And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
We went to the White House for the Christmas party. In your opinion, what was the highlight?
The highlight of my trip to the White House with Grace, there were two. Number one, when we walked into Trump International Hotel, which she'd been dreaming of going to, and her eyes were wide. And then when the president actually came down the stairs, her eyes were even wider. She was so in awe of being there. I really felt like King Farouk, you know? I felt like I was giving someone a really great gift.
that they couldn't get otherwise.
You've had some really good interviews over the years. Which one was your favorite?
I can't really say what the best interview I ever had, but one that just occurred to me was Jesse Helms, the senator from North Carolina. I interviewed him one time, and he went to high school with my mother in Monroe, North Carolina. And the first words out of his mouth were, "Howie, I know your mother before you knew your mother."
With all the uncertainty in the world, feeling safe at home has never been more important. It's why I want to talk to you about Simply Safe Home Security. They're longtime friends of the Howie Carr Show, and for good reason. Simply Safe has made it easy to finally get comprehensive protection for your home. There's no technician or salesperson that needs to come and disrupt your house. You don't need to pay any outrageous monthly fees or sign a 2-year contract. You just order online. Set it up yourself in under an hour, and your home is protected 24/7 with emergency dispatch for break-ins, fire, and more. All for just 50 cents a day. And we're not the only fans of Simply Safe. U.S. News and World Report named Simply Safe Best Overall Home Security of 2020. Go to simplysafehowie.com to try it out for yourself. That's simplysafehowie.com to make sure they know that our show sent you. That's simplysafehowie.com. The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian.
The Cambridge police acted stupidly.
And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton.
There are neighborhoods around the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book.
I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
The president threatening to ban TikTok.
The president threatened to ban TikTok over fears that the Chinese government could get access to users' private data.
We may be banning TikTok. We may be doing some other things. There are a couple of options.
The issue with TikTok is not the funny videos. The issue is the data. And that data is captured by a company that ultimately is owned by a Chinese company that ultimately must do whatever the Chinese government tells them to do.
TikTok has admitted that it has sent user data to China.
And today, the president faced a chorus of anger from TikTok users.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
You accused Dr. Deborah Birx of the Coronavirus Task Force of spreading disinformation about the pandemic.
I don't have confidence in anyone who stands there while the president says swallow Lysol and it's going to cure your virus.
Catfight?
The House Speaker on another network just said that she does not have confidence in either the president or you, Dr. Birx.
I will stake my 40-year career on those fundamental principles of utilizing data to really implement better programs to save more lives.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Clinical trials that have looked at the efficacy of hydroxychloroquine have indicated that it is not effective.
It eradicates the symptoms. It eradicates the virus. We see patients day 1, we put them on hydroxychloroquine, they come back day 7, day 10, and they're negative.
Safer than Tylenol, for sure. Aspirin and Motrin.
Unchained and unstoppable.
Because, folks, it's my coach used to say it's go-to time. It's go time now.
Yeah, that's it. It's go time.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
844-500-4242. Boy, oh boy, it's getting tough to be a clothes retailer out there. Men's Warehouse files for bankruptcy, and that's the same company that owns Joseph A. Bank. So they're going to try to keep operating, but they did file for Chapter 11 protection. And also, Lord & Taylor has filed for bankruptcy last night. Lord & Taylor, the oldest, considered the oldest U.S. department store. And these latest bankruptcies follow in the steps of Brooks Brothers, J.C. Penney, Neiman Marcus, and J. Crew. More than 24 public and large private retailers in the U.S. have filed for bankruptcy in 2020, more than in all of last year. Yikes. 844-500-4242. The president is about to have his coronavirus news conference of the day. We'll check in with that, and they've been negotiating with the Democrats today about a new coronavirus relief package. And Nancy Pelosi actually went to the White House today. I assume that she was supplied with a nice beverage, meaning Lysol, because that's what the president likes to offer people, I guess, according to Nancy Pelosi yesterday on the air. Meanwhile, it's time for the Chump Line.
Okay, it's either drink bleach or drink Lysol. Make up one story, keep it straight, repeat it again and again.
Isn't Lysol just a form of bleach? It's kind of like,
disinfectant. It's not a bleach.
It's not
going to get stains out.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
They say cops and women don't mix. It's like eating a spoonful of Drano. Sure, it'll clean you out. They'll leave you hollow inside.
You ever see Drano foaming up when you put it into a sink? I'll take a double shot of Lysol over Drano any day of the week.
Hey, Howie, I'd rather swallow Lysol than the BS from Pelosi.
She spews out a lot every day, whether she's with the president or not. How about when she tore up the State of the Union address a few months back? The Chump Line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer, this week celebrating the return of professional sports, such as they are now. The problem is, just when we thought it was safe to watch hockey, they ruined that for us. We think we're going back to our new favorite sport, downhill dirt track marble racing. Hey, I think hockey's better than the other sports, isn't it?
Have you ever watched marble racing?
No.
It's very fascinating.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and you can place bets on it.
I don't think I'm going back to ESPN at any time soon. I don't think I'm going to watch any NBA or Major League Baseball. And I've never been a hockey fan, so even though they're standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, I'm not going to go back there. And I think I'm pretty much done with sports all the way around. Maybe the NFL a little bit. Maybe I'll join the games late in the first quarter after the virtue signaling is over. On the other hand, maybe I won't.
Hey, Howie, this is Joe Biden. Can I get me some tapioca Lysol here?
I'm not familiar with any different flavored tapioca pudding. It's just kind of tapioca, isn't it? It's not Lysol or Drano flavored.
This is the story of the hurricane. I'm scared because I can't pronounce its name.
That hurricane was a bust. But, what kind of hurricane has a name that they were even complaining about it? I watched it briefly on Weather Channel yesterday just because, they tried to scare the bleep out of people that own property and live down where I am in Florida, even though nothing happened. And even the weather reporters were saying, I can't pronounce this name. Where the hell did they come up with that name that if they couldn't pronounce it on the Weather Channel, for goodness sake?
How is it pronounced, Howie?
Isaias, I think.
Nope.
Well, what? Tell me.
It's got a more of a kind of an accent to it. Isaias.
Isaias. I mean, what's the point of that? Why can't they just call it Isaiah? We could at least, Isaiah is not a common name, but it's biblical. We all know the name. I mean, what's wrong with that name? Why do they have to put it into, I guess, some kind of obscure Romance dialect?
We need more hurricanes named after Greek gods and goddesses. Thor.
I was talking to a guy who
That's Norse.
Guy I know that he liked my column about Mr. Gooner's death, and he was telling me about his dog. You know what his dog's name was? Zeus. That's for a German Shepherd. That's a good dog name, Zeus.
I'm so glad that Charlie Parker's no partying order doesn't include Chaz. The Chappaquiddick Hyannis Alcoholic Zone.
There was a story in the Globe today about people were being interviewed at Logan Airport coming back, and they were angry that the state was not questioning them more sternly about where they had been and whether or not they were going to quarantine. I mean, why would you want to be subjected to that kind of abuse by an incompetent, corrupt state agency, whichever the state agency was that would be doing it?
I see Joe Biden has delayed his VP pick. Could it be that none of the present ones passed the smell test?
Well put. Apparently they're all going crazy, diming one another out, and they've all got these skeletons in their closet. This woman, Karen Bass from California, apparently she went to Cuba 8 times when Fidel Castro was running the show down there, and speaking of jackboots. And now she says, well, I just didn't know. I didn't know he was that bad. She put out this weeping tweet when he died in 2016, so when she was 62. She didn't know. The first 8 times she went to Cuba, she was up to 62 years old, and she hadn't figured out it was a dictatorship. But now she's woke. And she doesn't believe in the Church of Scientology anymore either. I don't think she's going to make the cut.
I went to the hospital today and was refused because I wasn't wearing a mask. Isn't that called facial profiling?
It is. I mean, didn't the legislature pass some bill saying you couldn't use facial recognition techniques, or they're trying to pass such a law? So I agree. You've been discriminated against. You're a victim. We're all victims.
Imagine a movie with Bela Lugosi, and the co-star is Nancy Pelosi. One's after your throat, one's after your vote. I think the Queen would be scarier. We'd have to go see.
New from Universal Pictures, Bride of Lysol, starring Nancy Pelosi.
Now playing at the Menden Twin Drive-In.
Howie, what's the over-under on how many times a day Ellen pulled a Mo Green on all of her underlings?
Oh, that's true. Mo Green, meaning, do you know who I am?
You know who I am?
Yeah. She doesn't sound like a very pleasant person. What is her motto? Be happy? Or be nice?
Be kind.
Be kind. Be kind. She was kind of bad to everybody around her.
Howard, Wilford Brimley calling. I finally shed my mortal coils. Show up at the pearly gates, and St. Peter says to me, when did you grow a mustache, Howard? That hurt me more than diabetes.
I didn't come here to be made sport of. I have not looked like Wilford Brimley for a number of years now.
Call Liberty. They can help you live a better life.
Wilford Brimley, I didn't know that he used to be a bodyguard to Howard Hughes. Did you know that?
I had no idea. No,
that was in the obituary. I wish if he had mentioned that earlier, I would have paid more attention to it.
What was your favorite Wilford Brimley movie?
I don't really have any favorite Wilford Brimley movies. What, do you have any?
I like The Thing, My Fellow Americans.
I'm not familiar with those.
The Thing, John Carpenter, 1985? No?
No.
Wow.
That was your last chump line message. Thank you for calling Howie Carr, you chump.
All right, that's it for the chump line today. The chump line is the recorded voicemail message service of the Howie Carr Show. You can call and leave a message at any hour of the day or night, including weekends. The chump line number, if you'd like to leave such a message, 844-500-4242, 844-500-4242. Press 2 for the Chump Line. Leave your message. We may or may not play it at this time each weekday. If you can't get enough of the Chump Line, go to Chopped Chumps after the show on every weeknight. We post a podcast of the Chump Line messages that did not make the airwaves. Get your Chopped Chumps wherever you get your Howie Carr podcasts. The Chump Line is brought to you every weekday by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer, this week celebrating the return of professional sports, such as they are. Problem is, just when we thought it was safe to watch hockey, they ruined that for us. We think we're going back to our new favorite sport, downhill dirt track marble racing.
This is the story of the hurricane. I'm scared because I can't pronounce its name.
Yeah, in Paterson, New Jersey, they used to be arresting Reuben Hurricane Carter. And now they're arresting the city councilors for trying to steal the election in the primary in, June? All right. Maybe Bob Dylan will do a song. This is the story of the stealing of the municipal elections. I'm Howie Carr.
Howie Carr will return after this brief commercial break.
Recently, I had Global Marble and Granite install new gorgeous marble countertops in my home. Global Marble and Granite has the largest selection of marble, granite, and quartz on Cape Cod. They also serve Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, and all of New England. People are spending more time in their homes, so now is the best time to upgrade your kitchen or baths. Your home is your biggest investment, and Global Marble and Granite is ready to increase the value. Visit their site and see my kitchen's before and after shots. Go to globalcapecod.com or call 508-771-1001.
Alexander Hamilton said, "Those who stand for nothing will fall for anything." This is Toby from Cape Gunworks. When our founding fathers drafted the Second Amendment, there was no question of its meaning. Today, if you have questions, come to Cape Gunworks for some advice, training, or to send a few rounds downrange. We have a fully stocked pro shop with a huge selection of guns, crossbows, archery, classes, rentals, a 15-lane range, and a friendly staff. Come on down to Cape Gunworks, Airport Road, Hyannis, or capegunworks.com.
I'm the Vice President of the United States.
Love him or hate him, Joe Biden's here for the long haul. But we can't get enough of his gaffes. Here's the best of Uncle Joe speaking before he thinks.
We choose truth over facts.
When the stock market crashed, Franklin Roosevelt got on television.
Make sure you have the record player on at night.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Okay, all right. Well, you can frack with me later, okay? The teachers are retired. I'm married to a teacher. My deceased wife is a teacher.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude.
I can tell you, and I've known 8 presidents. 3 of the minimum. If you agree with me, go to Joe 30330 and help me. Had over 40 kids shot at Kent State on a beautiful lawn. I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it? I said something that was not meant the way I said. I mean, what is it that I said wrong? I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts. Anyway, my time's up. I'm sorry.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day. Once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just 1 scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
There are plenty of differences between Trump and the Democrats running for 2020, but the main one is Trump's pretty funny. Take a listen.
What advice would you give to the 25-year-old Donald Trump knowing what you know today?
Don't run for president. I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay? It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, I never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. Can you imagine if I had? What a mess I'd be. I'd be the world's worst. Other countries, big countries, India and others, we had to pay because they considered them a growing country. They were a growing country. I said, what are we? Are we allowed to grow too? Okay. No, are we allowed to grow?
I try like hell to hide that bald spot, folks. I work harder. Doesn't look bad. Hey, we're hanging in.
I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year. Because I've destroyed her political career, and now I won't get a chance to run against her, and I would have loved it. I don't want to knock out all of the good stuff and end up with somebody that's actually got talent. That would be terrible.
This is Deb in Danielson, Connecticut.
This is Greg in Boston, Mass.
This is Elizabeth in Wakefield, Massachusetts, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
Today's poll question is sponsored by our friends at massfiscal.org. MassFiscal has led the charge against tax increases, most recently opposing the horrible TCI gas tax, which was railroaded through late Friday night on a vote of 142 to 17. Meaning about half the Republicans, almost half the Republicans voted for it. Pitiful, pitiful. You need the info, though. Sign up for free at massfiscal.org now. Massfiscal.org now. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Which treatment would you take to help prevent contracting coronavirus? Vaccination, hydroxychloroquine, or you're not too worried about contracting it?
I'll take a vaccination, even though I'm not too concerned about contracting it.
22% say they'd go for the vaccination. Hydroxychloroquine came in at 37%, and 41% say they're not too worried about it.
It's amazing, though. This panic porn is really working here. 781H went to University Station in Westwood yesterday, which is an outdoor shopping area, was the only one not wearing a mask outside. Media have succeeded with the panic porn. Multiple loudmouths made remarks at me as they passed about my lack of a mask. I don't get it. I don't wear a mask, but I haven't run into that for some reason. But yeah, I know it's ridiculous. I mean, the way it's portrayed. I'm just looking at the homepage of the Globe during the break. Superintendent of Weston Schools tests positive. Well, is she going to die? I don't think so. And then I keep reading, 2 more Falmouth lifeguards test positive for coronavirus. Have any of these Falmouth lifeguards who went to this party, have any of them died? Have any of them gotten sick? Good Lord. 844-500-4242. How about this? There was a black guy who was trying to get to work over the weekend, and he ran into a Black Lives Matter demonstration, which was, as most Black Lives Matter demonstrations are, mostly white people. And so this is what transpired. Cut 18.
I got kids. Get the out my way. I'm about to air this bitch out, bro. Come on. Come on, bro. Come on. I gotta go to work.
I gotta go to work. None of those Antifa types want to hear anybody talking about how they gotta go to work. And bills? What's a bill? That's what my mom gets. You know, she has to pay the bill for the electricity and the water and the cable TV and the mortgage. The bill, 844-500-4242. I can't get enough of Fauci in March about masks. I just can't get enough of this. Cut 12.
Right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks.
You're sure of it? Because people are listening really closely to this.
Right now, people should not be walking. There's no reason to be walking around with a mask. When you're in the middle of an outbreak, wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better, and it might even block a droplet, but it's not providing the perfect protection that people think that it is.
He is so bad, and Jim Jordan just called him out totally. 603 says now that the cases are falling, that's why they're talking about long-term impacts. Yeah, I know. You may not notice it now, but someday you'll be sad you didn't take our word and quarantine. I'm Howie Carr.
The Bayview Collection is a small group of distinctive luxury boutique hotels located in the beautiful coastal village of Camden, Maine, whose properties include the Lord Camden Inn, Camden's premier downtown boutique hotel, the Grand Harbor Inn, Camden's only four-diamond waterfront hotel, and 16 Bayview, Camden's newest contemporary hotel property with its iconic rooftop bar, The View. The Bayview Collection, 3 great choices, 1 remarkable destination. To learn more, visit them at bayviewcollection.com.
Don't miss your chance to go behind the scenes of the Howie Carr Show with the Howie Carr VIP experience.
This is Keith from Laconia, and I am a Howie Carr Show VIP.
This is Andy from Uxbridge, and I'm enjoying my wedding gift as a VIP at the Howie Carr Show.
Everyone here has been so nice.
Guys, what was the best part of being here?
The food from the Kowloon.
Food from the Kowloon.
The Kowloons is awesome.
Go to HowieCarrshow.com and click on the VIP experience banner for more details.
And Howie, you're the best.
The Democrat Party is so full of loonies, social justice warriors, progressives, whatever you want to call them, that sometimes certain moonbats get overlooked. So let's take this moment to shine the woke spotlight on Crazy Maisie Hirono.
I am not going to be a fool to Mitch McConnell's shenanigans. Why should any of us? And it's not just a dog whistle, it's a bullhorn. Bullhorns. It's racism. It's basically, for many people, it's anti-Semitic. It's white supremacy.
Why not take a stand and vote yes for it? Seems like you're trying to have it both ways. Not be hung by it politically, but also not say that you don't support it.
I disagree with you, Katie, that why should we engage in the kind of sham shenanigans that Mitch McConnell is really good at? I'm confused. This was just a sham. Guess who's perpetuating all of these kinds of actions? It's the men in this country, and I just want to say to the men in this country, just shut up and step up. I think the noose is closing, and, Giuliani is like a loose cannon, and so is the president, frankly.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie.
Remember the boy who cried wolf? I called this one the press that cried Hitler.
But he is completely un-American. He is behaving like a fascist. This is the president, once again, just thumping his chest and acting like he is the dictator that I think he wants to be.
The President of the United States is a wannabe dictator with authoritarian tendencies.
This is exactly what authoritarians do. This is what strongmen do. This is what happens in authoritarian regimes.
We have a president with a strong authoritarian personality.
Like a dictator from another nation.
People that grew up in authoritarian regimes, seeing echoes of that in President Trump. He likes these figures like Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un.
This is more the actions of a dictator.
He totally wants to be a dictator. It's so obvious.
Much like Hitler took over the Nazi Party, Trump has taken over the Republican Party.
He went full Hitler.
Trump is as destructive a person in this century as Hitler, Stalin, and Mao were in the last century.
It's simply a Stalinist phrase, for God's sake.
He sounded not like a president of the United States. He actually sounded like Saddam Hussein.
Joe Biden doesn't have time for malarkey, and he also doesn't have a lot of time for geography. Take a listen.
The people of Nevada are watching, and I'm going to be out there seeing them very soon. Tonight, though, we just heard from the first 2 of 50 states. It's important that Iowa and Nevada have spoken, but look, we need to hear from Nevada and South Carolina and Super Tuesday states and beyond.
And Biden doesn't know the difference between Iran and Iraq. He's gotten it wrong 4 times.
We tried it in Iraq. It's not working, so now we're going to try, in Iran. We tried in Ukraine.
He always gets the name wrong.
I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it? And what a neat town. This is sort of a scenic, beautiful town. I like Keene a lot.
How many times has he missed it? He's in Iowa. It's great to be in the great state of Ohio. And they say, Joe, you're in Iowa.
How many unsafe bridges you still have here in the state of Iowa? And I was just in Ohio because they have more.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. And if you want to read my column about the Joker, Tsarnaev, the Muslim terrorist, bomber, mass murderer, serial killer of the Boston Marathon, go to HowieCarrShow.com, HowieCarrShow.com, and check it out. I like that.
That's not how the Rolling Stone described him.
The Rolling Stone described him as a tousle-haired youth. And the Boston Globe said the family was always short on money. Maybe because none of them ever got a job in the 10 years since they came over from their Muslim third world bleep that they lived in.
Howard, we're matching right now.
Yes, we are. We both have blue Matthews Brothers shirts on.
Also, I have a complaint to lodge with you.
Yes, what is that?
With hate mail lately, I've been getting a lot of great messages and tweets, but it really helps me if you tweet out a photo of yourself on the weekends doing something, some activity that can garner a lot of deranged hate, and you didn't tweet anything this weekend. You didn't tweet anything in short pants, anything, in a T-shirt that would drive people crazy.
I'll work on that next weekend.
You can't just go off the grid.
I'll try to do better.
Okay. Well, with that being said, I do have a lot of voicemails this week.
Let the hate flow through you.
Yes, and I
was watching the Weather Channel a little bit worried about my place in Florida until I realized there was another fake news hoax.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
How do you say it?
Isaias.
I say it's wrong, and so does Howie. Get it? Okay, we got to get to hate mail. Here we go. We're going to start with some voicemails. I would like to start with cut 23, please, Taylor.
Hey, Howie, how can you talk about lying when President Trump has told more lies than any president in history? You are a pig, and so is he. Why don't you play this on your show, you
It went on that long?
Mm-hmm. It did.
What kind of accent was that, by the way?
I think that's a bad connection accent. But I mean, I just didn't know if you wanted to respond. He called you a pig.
Oink, oink. Takes one to know one.
Another hate that you received was, so I tweeted out my column. You retweeted it for me. You said, it's a great column. Everyone should read it. And a man responded and said, dump Howie Carr. He's got an 8th grade brain.
An 8th grade brain? Mm-hmm. I'm doing okay for having an 8th grade brain. So what is this guy's brain? Did he say?
No, he does. It's not listed on his Twitter bio. Another person.
These attacks are curiously fact-free. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
These are what you term ad hominem attacks.
I also don't get them sometimes. Like, you tweeted out a story about Democratic candidate says she laughed repeatedly at video of officer hit in face by projectile and withdraws from race amid outcry.
That was in Illinois.
This guy responds back to your tweet and says, Howie Carr, the Boston Baghdad Bob, everything is hunky-dory.
What does Baghdad Bob or me have to do with that story? This woman she tweeted out some video of a federal agent in Portland getting hit in the face, and she said, I just keep watching this over and over again, and it never fails to crack me up, or words to that effect. And then people said, you get a chuckle out of a cop getting hit in the face? And she finally had to pull out of the race.
Well, here's the thing. When you don't tweet out a photo for people to kind of focus their anger on
me,
on your legs or on your hair color.
This was a Muslim woman.
Then they get confused.
Hijab, whatever you call it.
They get confused. They spout their anger off in strange ways. That's why you need to give them a focal point. Another person commented on your Herald piece about Charlie Baker and said, another hate piece by Howie. Howie, do you ever write anything that is true? Do you ever write anything that benefits Massachusetts? No, you're not worth 2 bleeping cents, you fraud.
I'm trying to get rid of Charlie Baker. What more can I do for the state?
Well, that's a good question, Howie. Take it up with, let's see his username, because they're always free hugs. Take it up with free hugs. Did this just happen? He's not giving you any free hugs, that's for damn sure. Let's play a little Granny. This is cut 21.
I don't care. Just when I thought the Republicans could not get any more ignorant, my God, was I wrong. Trump wants to change the date of voting. Does he want to change it to November 3rd, 2024? Maybe he can. He's a and you know it and won't admit it. That's the sad part. That's the truly sad part of all of this.
You can always hear your voice in the background of her messages.
Which proves that she does listen to the show.
Oh, yeah, she definitely listens. I just don't know how she doesn't hear this segment because she always says, I know you're not going to play this. As do a lot of people. They must not understand we have hate mail because they always say, I know you're not going to play this. Or they challenge us and say, dare you to play this on your air. We will gladly play you on the air.
She kept using the word sad over and over again, but she didn't sound very sad to me. She sounded more enraged.
She also likes the phrase, just when I thought. And it reminds me of just when they thought I was out, they pulled me back in. But she says, just when I thought the Republicans couldn't get any worse, you do. She feels bad for you, Howie. She pities you. She pities the fool.
See, she's afraid that President Trump isn't going to accept the results of the 2020 election, much like the Democrats haven't accepted the results of the 2016 election, which is now almost 4 years ago.
But it's the other thing the Democrats have been doing lately is they keep talking about how he's not going to accept the results. If Trump loses, he might not accept the results. Why don't you just focus on winning first before you worry about what's going to happen after you win? Let's not count our chickens before they hatch. Okay, on to the next hate mail. Howie, you're not the only one who gets vicious hate. I, too, receive plenty of angry messages, and lately they've been about my hair. I do have a bad habit of pushing it around. I'm going to try to stop doing that, but I would advise people not to get so aggressive. This is cut 20.
Damn, will you tell that damn woman to quit moving her hands all over the place and quit with the hair? If she doesn't like it in her face, tie it back. But quit around with the hair, you stupid.
And the lockdown has to end. People have to get out and about, even if it's just taking a walk around the mall. Open it up, Governor Parker and all the other stupid governors out there and mayors.
You know what I'll say to that man? For everyone watching on the screens? Just did a hair flip.
You know, though, you shouldn't tell them to lay off you, though, Grace, because that just
enrages them more.
Yeah, that's like waving the proverbial red flag in front of the bull.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna tie it back more, but then I tie it back and and everyone says I look like I Dream of Jeannie, and then they don't like that either. You win, you can't win for losing here. Howie, there is also some people who give advice on how you should answer calls or how you should run the show. This is cut 22.
Howie, I love your show, but will you please let your callers make their point before you interrupt them? They're not the only one that's got an opinion, for Pete's sake. Be quiet and just let them speak.
See, if I were Joe Biden, I would have interrupted that guy about 5 seconds into his speech.
And said, hi, where are you from?
What's your problem, pal?
I don't do that.
That's a lot of malarkey. No, I mean it.
Hate Mail Monday is brought to you by Piantadosi Baking Company, celebrating over 100 years of baking excellence since 1916. I have one more comment for you, Howie. This comes from also your column on Charlie Baker, but it is about Donald Trump. Because no matter what you're writing about, they can bring it back to Donald Trump.
Did I mention Donald Trump in that column? I don't believe I did.
Mueller, the avenging angel writes.
What did Mueller avenge, by the way?
I don't know, but he's angelic, so you better watch yourself. Wow, incredible. It must really suck to guzzle the orange Kool-Aid and then end up with a disaster of a cult leader. A guy with no clue, who sucks at his job, a total fraud, con man. He's already planning to challenge the results of the election. Putin's puppet. Howie, Biden is also an old white man, so maybe that will help ease your racist pain.
An old white man? Okay. I don't quite get where he's coming. Well, but I've never been able to understand the fact that he has the handle Mueller, the avenging angel.
Yeah.
It's kind of, wouldn't you come up with a new handle?
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of these handles give it away because you never go to these people's Twitters.
What was Booker, the Democratic nominee? How about that one? Or Beto, the Democratic nominee? I mean, they're about as successful as Mueller.
Booker, Spartacus.
That's right.
Guys, Hate Mail Monday once again is brought to you by Piantadosi Baking Company. Joe brought in us a ton of beautiful bread rolls on Friday. They were delicious. I had some over the weekend. Make sure you check out Piantadosi at your local markets.
It is. It's very good. 413 says the last caller was definitely a hippie reject from the 60s because their favorite word to use is pig when they're describing somebody they hate. Yeah, pig has made a big comeback in recent months.
Yeah, I get it sometimes on Twitter from people. I get called a communist pig, which is, I like creativity. So whatever sparks that.
Okay, comrades, you've had your fun for the week. Everyone needs a great pair of wireless earbuds right about now. And you already know how Raycon earbuds start at about half the price of other premium earbuds on the market, and that they sound just as amazing as the other top audio brands you know. Their newest model, the Everyday E25 earbuds, are their best ones yet, with 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a nice noise-isolating fit. Raycon's wireless earbuds are so comfortable, perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Have you got one for your fiance yet, Grace?
I ordered some, and I also, Howie, think it's important that people know that sometimes if you're listening to something, let's say the Howie Carr show, and you have someone like Granny or Mueller, the Avenging Angel, they might get mad if they hear it. But if you have your Raycons in, then you don't have to deal with the Trump deranged people out there. You can listen by yourself.
Tune out the comrades in your life. Buy some Raycon earbuds.
You won't be called a pig if you have your Raycons in.
Unlike some of your other wireless options, Raycon earbuds are both stylish and discreet with no dangling wires or stems. That's what Granny has. She looks very, very old. You've heard me talk about how the company was co-founded by Ray J, and celebrities like J.R. Smith are obsessed with Raycons. Now's the time for you to see what the hype is all about, what Grace and I have been talking about for months now. Get 15% off your order at buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie for 15% off Raycon wireless earbuds. Buyraycon.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
If you change the station, the Moonbats win. You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Folensby Inn of North Sutton, New Hampshire. Just 90 minutes from Boston on the shores of pristine Kezar Lake. Perfect for year-round relaxation. Book your stay at folensbyinn.com.
He's New England's talk radio king. He's Howie Carr.
The only French term I like is sans culotte, without trousers. I used to describe Ted Kennedy as sans culotte. Because after the O'Bar incident, when he was wandering around down on the beach, with his 20th Scotch tumbler of the day in his hand, stumbling around with he was just there, as the Michel Casson, Patch's date said, he was just there, without trousers, or as we say in Paris, sans culotte.
We've seen nothing that we can work. That I can work with President Bush on, and I'm disappointed because I thought that there might be some interest because of what he said in the campaign.
President Bush, this is your brain. This is your brain on Botox, okay? That's the lesson of that one. Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
Here's 1 Minute with Governor
Charlie Parker in Massachusetts.
I'd certainly put myself on that list. I'm a basketball player. I always was.
There's a lot at stake here. This is not a virus to be trifled with or disrespected. Respect the virus.
I have a hard time understanding when we're going to be able to play basketball again.
We can start talking about a gradual, careful, data-driven, phased reopening. Don't let a few nice days step on that.
I need to talk to the Attorney General and find out what the actual parameters of the ruling are. Did this just happen? And the reason I read that story is because I'm a basketball player, and I agree. I was first made aware of the discrepancy on this on the day that the registrar resigned.
The vast majority, and I mean like the vast majority of the people who are part of these protests are there to make a point and to make it peacefully. That is so obvious, I'm amazed that anybody could say anything other than that. I would love to be able to open everything up tomorrow. That would be an incredibly irresponsible thing to do.
This is Paul in North Andover, Mass.
This is Luana in Lexington, Massachusetts.
This is Lauren in Augusta, Maine, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242. Is the president taking some questions now? No, he's still not taking questions. He was looking over at somebody, I just thought. But he's giving an update on the COVID-19 response, and we'll check in when he starts taking questions. Meanwhile, there's a analysis of crime stats by the Wall Street Journal today. I mean, no real surprises, but it is appalling. Among the nation's 50 largest cities, reported homicides are up 24% so far this year to 3,612. Shootings and gun violence also rose, although many other violent crimes such as robbery fell. Robberies, burglaries, and rapes are down so far this year because more people are staying home during the lockdowns, leaving fewer prospective victims on the streets, in bars, and other public places. Burglars aren't as likely to break into homes filled with people under lockdown. Homicides, on the other hand, are up because violent criminals have been emboldened by the sidelining of police, courts, schools, churches, and an array of other social institutions by the reckoning with police in the pandemic. Police say homicide increases are hitting low-income, mostly Black and Latino communities especially hard. In Chicago, for example, killings are concentrated on the south and west sides. Yeah, you don't even have to be from Chicago to know that. Quote, the most disadvantaged neighborhoods that were already suffering the most from long-standing economic challenges in the coronavirus. Here's a sad story. There was a kid in Chicago. His name was Caleb Reed. He was a junior in the local high school, and he was protesting the police presence in his high school. But he was found on Friday afternoon lying on a sidewalk. He had been shot in the head and was taken to the hospital in Evanston. He died at the hospital. Police have not announced an arrest, and I'm sure they won't be announcing an arrest. They have they don't seem to solve too many of these gang murders in Chicago. Altogether, there were nearly 40 people shot in Chicago over the weekend as July goes down as the most violent month in 40 years. 40 years. A 9-year-old boy was shot over the weekend and killed. Shot while playing with friends behind the Cabrini Green townhomes on Friday. And the youngest victim of the month was a 7-year-old woman who was shot as her family celebrated the Independence Day with her family in the South Austin neighborhood. At least 107 people were killed in Chicago in July, more than double the same month last year, according to data kept by the Chicago Tribune. That's the most in any month since September of 1992. And meanwhile, the police in Minneapolis have announced that if you're approached by a mugger or a robber, you'd best just give up your cell phone or your wallet or your jewelry, because no one's going to be there to protect you. 844-500-4242. 62% of Americans say they have political views they're afraid to share. This was a poll that came out a couple of weeks ago, and from the Cato Institute. And there was another poll today that came out, and it showed that Trump is actually ahead of Biden in this. I think it's called the Democracy Institute and the London Express newspaper, and Trump was ahead. And they also asked, are you afraid to tell people who you're going to vote for? And that part of the survey was, among Biden voters, 27% didn't want to say who they were voting for. 82% of Trump supporters didn't like to share with very many people who they were voting for. For some reason, they trusted these pollsters. So I think if Trump was really ahead 48 to 46 in that poll, he was probably ahead somewhat more than that, considering how dangerous, literally dangerous, it can sometimes be to be for Donald Trump. 844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. Let's have Dr. Richard Urso talking about hydroxychloroquine. Cut 2.
It's almost vitamin-like in some sense. I mean, it's an incredibly safe drug, and I'll say this: safer than Tylenol, for sure, aspirin, and Motrin.
That's pretty safe. I don't know about you. I've never had any problems with those. Any of Tylenol, Motrin, or aspirin. So I guess I wouldn't have too much of a problem with hydroxychloroquine. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr. If you haven't tried Super Beets Soft Chews yet, you are missing out. They're really great. They taste great. It's a lot easier and more convenient than using the powder form, and it gives you the same lift of energy.
Howie, we all tried them in the office today. We're having a debate as to which we like better, the chews or the original powder, but they're both great in my opinion.
I like the chews better because I don't have to wash anything afterwards. I don't have to wash a glass and the spoon.
I feel the same way, Howie. They're like Starburst. You can just pop them in and you're all done.
That's right. Order them today. They're great. Super Beets Soft Chews combine non-GMO beets with a powerful new ingredient, grapeseed extract, clinically shown to be 2 times as effective at supporting normal blood pressure as a healthy lifestyle alone. Do what I did and support your heart health with delicious Super Beets Chews. Get your Super Beets Chews today at superbeetsradio.com/Howie, and when you buy 2 bags, they'll throw in the 3rd one for free. That's superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
Normally, we give Fredo Cuomo a lot of attention, but lately it's Governor Andrew Cuomo who's been grabbing headlines. Let's take a listen to some of his best moments.
You're an essential worker, so go take a job as an essential worker.
But the people aren't hiring because of...
No, there are people hiring. You can get a job as an essential worker. So now you can go to work and you can be an essential worker and you're not going to kill anyone. The number is down because we brought the number down. God did not do that. Fate did not do that. Destiny did not do that. We're not going to make America great again. It was never that great. because I can also see you're in masterful shape, buff even. It has a very nice floral bouquet. A little I detected lilac, hydrangea, tulips. What does it smell like to you? Tulips, yes. Floral bouquet.
Because if that's who they are, and if they are the extreme conservatives, they have no place in the state of New York.
The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian.
The Cambridge police acted stupidly.
And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton.
There are neighborhoods around the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book.
I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper.
If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke.
A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie.
The coronavirus has made our lives unpredictable, but one thing you can always count on, the White House press corps will always ask President Trump ridiculous questions.
Question, Mr. President, should Americans have to decide between staying healthy and going back to work?
Hey, just checking on oil again today. I was wondering...
Oil?
Yeah.
Where is it today?
Well, I was wondering if you...
No, where's the price? Give me the price.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
How can you ask a question when you don't know the price?
I'll look it up for you.
Okay, let me do somebody else.
What do you say the Americans who are scared, though? I guess nearly 200 dead, 14,000 who are sick, millions, as you witnessed, who are scared right now. What do you say to Americans who are watching you right now who are scared?
Well, where did he come from, the Inspector General? What's his name?
It came from the Inspector General
what's his
report.
Name?
I don't know his name.
Some of your allies have been bashing these doctors. Would you tell them to cut it out?
Today you tweeted the invisible enemy will soon be in full retreat. Given it's invisible without widespread testing, how would you know?
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self advice, what would you say?
Get a state job, because behind the job comes the pension.
What's the best advice anyone's ever given you?
Most advice is pretty forgettable.
What's the best money you've ever spent?
The investment I made to leave the corporate radio prison I was in. The worst people I ever worked for, no doubt about it. I'd probably be dead if I were still working for them.
If you were on a deserted island and you could only bring 3 things, what would you bring?
A radio, a Wi-Fi system, obviously, and a computer, and I would bring some books. Don't ask me which books, too hard a question.
What was your dad's job when you were growing up?
My dad worked as a resort hotel manager. He worked in Florida at the Breakers in the winter, and then he worked at the Mountain View House, as it was called then, in Whitefield, New Hampshire, and various other places.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Mike Bloomberg is spending millions of dollars on all of his campaign ads, but we put together some of our favorite Bloomberg clips, and guess what, Mike? This one's totally free.
I think we disproportionately stop whites too much and minorities too little. To be a farmer, it's a process. So you dig a hole, you put a seed in, you put dirt on top, add water, up comes the corn. Then we had 300, you could learn that.
Donald Trump is the world's biggest schoolyard bully.
Big gay ice cream is the best. The Communist Party wants to stay in power in China, and they listen to the public. When the public says, I can't breathe the air, Xi Jinping is not a dictator. He has to satisfy his constituents, or he's not going to survive.
He's not a dictator?
No, he has a constituency to answer to.
I'm ready to get to work, so let's get it on.
I would be 79 years old when I took office. To start a 4-year job, maybe an 8-year job at age 79 may not be the smartest thing to do.
Why did you say what you said in that 2015 speech?
We all shop online, and now you could do it a better way with Honey. Honey is the free online shopping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart. Just download Honey to your computer and shop on all your favorite websites like normal. When you check out, just click the Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. Then watch your price drop. Honey works on nearly every online store, including Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Macy's, Etsy, and more. And Honey has found over $2 billion in savings for its users. That's why it has over 100,000 5-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. It's 100% free to use and installs in seconds. Plus, it's backed by PayPal, so you know it's secure and reliable. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. So get Honey for free today at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie. And now, a minute of wisdom from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Millennials and people and, Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And this is the war. This is our World War II.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
The president threatening to ban TikTok.
The president threatened to ban TikTok over fears that the Chinese government could get access to users' private data.
We may be banning TikTok. We may be doing some other things. There are a couple of options.
The issue with TikTok is not the funny videos. The issue is the data. And that data is captured by a company that ultimately is owned by a Chinese company that ultimately must do whatever the Chinese government tells them to do.
TikTok has admitted that it has sent user data to China.
And today, the president faced a chorus of anger from TikTok users.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
You accused Dr. Deborah Birx of the Coronavirus Task Force of spreading disinformation about the pandemic.
I don't have confidence in anyone who stands there while the president says swallow Lysol and it's going to cure your virus.
Catfight?
The House Speaker on another network just said that she does not have confidence in either the president or you, Dr. Birx.
I will stake my 40-year career on those fundamental principles of utilizing data to really implement better programs to save more lives.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Clinical trials that have looked at the efficacy of hydroxychloroquine have indicated that it is not effective.
It eradicates the symptoms. It eradicates the virus. We see patients day 1, we put them on hydroxychloroquine, they come back day 7, day 10, and they're negative.
Safer than Tylenol, for sure, aspirin, and Motrin.
Unchained and unstoppable.
Because, folks, it's my coach used to say it's go-to time. It's go time now.
Yeah, that's it. It's go time.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
844-500-4242. Earlier this year, we were talking a lot about the TCI, the Transportation Climate Initiative. This is an attempt to double the gasoline tax in Massachusetts. And nobody, it's a regional thing. All the governors would be in it together, and this would somehow give them cover. The only problem for Governor Charlie Parker was that none of the other governors wanted to get into this. They understood how devastating it would be for the state's economies that were involved in this. But Charlie Parker, the guy who banned Newports, the guy who doubled the tax on vaping products, who's now got us into the highest unemployment rate, the worst unemployment rate in the nation, and the third highest death rate. So much for the unemployment numbers working to make us healthier. He's just made a disaster of everything he's touched. So he is now promoting, again, the TCI, even though the state is on its rear end financially, economically. Again, highest unemployment rate in the country, 17.4%, up from 2.9% a year ago. But that doesn't matter to Charlie Parker. He wants the TCI. He wants to double the gas tax. So late Friday night, the House finally approved TCI, Transportation Climate Initiative, by a vote of 142 to 17. That's pretty sad, because that means that a lot of Republicans voted to double the gasoline tax. So joining us now on the line to talk about this is Representative Dave DeCoste. And he's been fighting against this. Dave, what's happened? Can you explain it more thoroughly, what exactly the TCI is and how it's going to affect what's left of the economy in Massachusetts?
Well, first of all, Howie, thanks for having me on, and thanks as always to you folks, and I guess to the Boston Herald, because I'll tell you, this stuff would not be covered were it not for talk radio and the Herald. You wouldn't know what was going on.
Right.
So we passed Friday House 4912, which is on the way to the Senate, and what it does a lot of things. It does some good things. It does some things like taking a look at the electrical grid, which is antiquated, and we need to take care of that. It appoints a commission to look at that. But it does an awful lot of bad things, and one of them, probably the worst of all of them, is establishing basically a framework by which a carbon taxing scheme can be set up. And this is a type of scheme that would allow unelected bureaucrats to raise taxes on a whole host of fuels and everything else. They claim it's not going to be diesel fuel or heating fuel for now, but it will be. They'll find a way to do it. And it basically shifts and will shift taxing and spending authority away from the legislature and it will put it under the purview of unelected bureaucrats, which means that taxes can be raised. My hope is that this can be challenged if it's passed, and we'll see if it's passed. But if this is passed through the Senate, going to a conference committee, and then passed again and signed by the governor, it could transfer taxing and spending authorities to unelected bureaucrats. And you know what's going to happen if unelected bureaucrats can tax. Those taxes are going to go one way, and it's going to be up. Well,
I don't know how you're going to stop it, because the Senate is even more liberal than the House, and this is the governor's baby. I mean, he really is. This is the final nail in the coffin of the Massachusetts economy, and he's been after this he was after this when the unemployment rate was under 3%, and it doesn't. And the fact that it's now 17.4% hasn't fazed him in the least. He still wants to do this. So how are you going to? How do you stop it?
I wouldn't. Go ahead, Howie.
How do you stop it?
Well, I would encourage people to talk to their representatives and talk to the governor and let him know that you oppose this. And also there's long term. There might be the possibility of a constitutional challenge to this, because really we're not supposed to be raising taxes outside of the legislature. And
right.
That's exactly what that does. It's exactly what it does. And I would I would encourage people to talk to their state representatives and state senators and take a closer look at this and at least mitigate it. It does work when people call and let their state reps and state senators know they oppose this.
Now, I think the tax, correct me if I'm wrong, the state tax right now is about 22 cents, and this would add another 26 cents per gallon, correct? Something like that?
Well, but again, to begin with. And once they find out what a money
oh my God,
is going to be, and you remember that along with this new taxing authority is going to be a new bureaucracy. So here again, whose daughter-in-law, whose son-in-law, whose cousin is going to get appointed to this? All
the people who got passed over for the Cannabis Control Commission have another chance, another bite at the apple. Representative DeCoste.
Probably all of them and their newly graduated sons and daughters, yes.
Who are living in the basement right now because they can't get a job because the unemployment rate is the highest in the nation.
That's in all seriousness, Howie, that's become a problem, certainly. And I represent Norwell, Hanover, and Rockland in the legislature, and I talked to many of the parents here. We had graduations for Rockland and Hanover and Norwell this weekend, and they all went terrific. And it was good to see these kids graduate, and they're all going off. Rockland was the last one I saw Saturday evening. It was just terrific, terrific group of kids, and they're doing well. But you got to wonder what kind of economy they're going to be moving into 4 years from now when they get out of school, or many of them, are going into the military. We have a number of young men and women going in the military, and we had a lot of union members going in Rockland. They were very specific about, future carpenters and electricians. And you got to wonder, what kind of an economy are they going to go into? What are they graduating into?
Well, you got to wonder. I mean, you got to wonder, are they going to be able to stay in this state? I mean, the way things are looking in this state. I mean, you got this thing. We're going to have we have the highest unemployment rate in the country. We're going to have the highest gasoline taxes in the country. They want to push through this millionaires tax in 2022, which will give us probably one of the third or fourth highest income tax rate in the country. I mean, it's just like the powers that be on Beacon Hill, Republican and Democrat alike, are on a kamikaze mission to destroy the state's economy.
Well, let's hope not. We did a lot of, and I know it's not what we're talking about tonight, but we've done a lot of what I think really some questionable bills at the very late into the session, although I shouldn't say that because the session has been extended past Election Day, so they could conceivably have the election November 3rd and bring us in sometime past the 4th, 5th, whenever they bring us in, and pass even additional things. And who knows? While they're at it, they'll probably give us another pay raise. So you can't put anything past them. But the legislation, normally the 31st should have been the last day that we could do any damage to legislation, but that's not the case. And from everything from policing, they've got some, in my opinion, some very bad zoning bills that have come up, and now they're going to talk about putting in charge basically a scheme where bureaucrats control taxation on anything to do with fuel, and that's very dangerous.
Very, very dangerous. So you're suggesting, though, even though it looks rather dark, that people should still call their reps and tell them that they're opposed to doubling the gas tax. And of course, they'll deny it's doubling. They'll say they'll deny that it's doubling the gas tax, but that's what it is, basically, more than doubling it when you get right down to it.
And as we spoke about before, and I think as any of the representatives who live on the border states, particularly, regardless of party, those representatives who anything that borders within 15, 20 minutes of New Hampshire, we've just given them another reason to go north. If the absence of a sales tax, or whether they smoke menthol cigarettes, and now we're going to give them a tax incentive to fill up while they're up there.
Well, in the western part of the state, some people have until now come across the border from Connecticut because it's cheaper to buy in Massachusetts than Connecticut. That advantage is going to be gone to whatever gas stations there are on the Connecticut border, right?
Well, that's true, but, Connecticut thus far has been a little bit ahead of us on the self-destruction scale, so maybe they'll pass a bill that catches up with us in that accord, too.
I don't know. We seem to be gaining ground recently. Representative Dave DeCoste, thanks for being with us, and I'm sorry we don't have better news to report to everybody, but you forewarned is forearmed, and you should know what's going on. And again, they are men and women of unsleeping malevolence, as Billy Bulger used to say, and he should have known because he was one of them. But they'll slap a tax on a galloping horse, as again Billy Bulger used to say, or a galloping automobile. Thanks for being with us, Representative DeCoste. Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Usually we just brush it off or blame ourselves, saying things like, I lost my mojo. Or we avoid it altogether with excuses like, I had a long day at work, or sorry, honey, I'm just not feeling it. But with Roman, it is easy to talk about it with a real doctor who can prescribe real medication. It's simple, safe, and totally discreet. With Roman, you get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for erectile dysfunction, all from the comfort and privacy of your own home. No awkward visits to a doctor, visits to a pharmacy, even if you can get to one and it's open. The doctor from Roman will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, Roman will ship it to you with free 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward, simple, and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to getroman.com/Howie and complete an online visit. Erectile dysfunction used to be tough to tackle, but now there's Roman. Complete an online visit today to connect with a doctor and take care of it. Go to getroman.com/Howie today. If approved, you'll get $15 off your first order of erectile dysfunction treatment. That's getroman.com/Howie, getroman.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
He's the maestro of microaggression. He's Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by the Barley House in Concord and Northampton, New Hampshire, bringing people together for a great time and great food, including fresh ground burgers. Their amazing staff is determined to make your day better. Check out thebarleyhouse.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Is Kennedy Babylon 2 your last book?
No, if I think of another topic for a book I want to write, I'll go for it. But I think it's the last of my Kennedy Babylon series. I made Kennedy Babylon 2 kind of long because I wanted to get everything in there. Now there's other stuff I could write about, but I'm Kennedy'd out.
Since having the sleeve operation, do you miss not eating big meals?
No, I don't. I can still eat what I used to eat. I just can't eat as much. I'm now very surprised how much I used to eat. I'm surprised at how much people I eat with consume. It's just hard to believe that I used to eat that much, but no, it's not a problem.
How is Mr. Gooner since Pearl's passing?
Mr. Gooner is drowning his sorrows in food.
What is the most trouble you ever got into as a kid?
My father was giving me grief one time up at Moosehead Lake in Maine, and I threw a rock at him. He didn't much like that. Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
Joe Biden might be running for president in 2020, so we should play some of his greatest hits.
Barack and I finally reduced the disparity in sentencing, which we've been fighting to eliminate, in crack cocaine versus powder cocaine. Correct. It was a big mistake when it was made. We thought, we were told by the experts that crack, you never go back.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a
Dunkin' Donuts, unless you have a slight Indian accent.
If you want to protect yourself, get a double-barrel shotgun. If there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony, put that double-barrel shotgun, and fire 2 blasts.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
Give me a break. That's a bunch of malarkey.
The 3-letter word, jobs. Jobs. Jobs.
One man stands ready to deliver change we desperately need. A man I'm proud to call my friend. A man who will be the next president of the United States, Barack America.
This is Lynn in sunny Las Vegas.
This is Dan from the moonbat capital of Jamaica Plain.
This is Gigi in Leominster, Massachusetts, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
Today's poll question is sponsored by our friends at massfiscal.org. MassFiscal has led the charge against tax increases, most recently opposing the horrible TCI gas tax that we just discussed with Representative DeCoste. Sign up for free at massfiscal.org now. Massfiscal.org now. And again, he's right. And except for the Herald and a few talk radio shows like this one, the rampant abuse and waste and fraud on Beacon Hill is just not being reported. That's why you need massfiscal.org. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Which treatment would you take to help prevent contracting coronavirus? A vaccine, hydroxychloroquine, or you're not too worried about it at all?
I'm not too worried, but I'll take a vaccine.
23% say they'd take the vaccine. 36% they say they'd opt for the hydroxychloroquine. 41% say they're not worried about getting the virus.
You should hear the questions that Trump was just taking from the cream of the national political press there at the White House. Are you going to let science, are you going to listen to science and not let politics interfere with treating this terrible, terrible problem?
The small places, the small races, a congressional race in New York, should be very easy. Normally that would have been announced at 7 o'clock and it would have been down to the wire and everybody would have loved it. If it was at all complex, it would have taken an extra 45 minutes or an hour. They would have announced it a little bit later. They have no clue. This was about 6 weeks ago, and they have no clue what's going on. They've lost ballots. There's fraudulent ballots. How are you going to do that for an entire nation? They're using COVID to try and get the mail-in ballots.
He's right. He's right. And today he said he announced he's going to sue the state of Nevada because they're trying to jack it through. I mean, the state of Nevada has had a terrible problem with COVID-19 and the idiotic Democrat governor out there. They had, for a while, they had an even higher unemployment rate than the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, but Charlie Parker's a bigger idiot than the Democrat governor in Carson City. So sorry. Yeah, sorry. Don't tell me you're sorry. We know how sorry you are.
Just on COVID, you mentioned the vaccine development program. Could you assure the American people that politics and considerations around the election will not interfere with the science?
Absolutely.
And plan on playing a role in just determining how the vaccine will, if there is one, will be distributed across the country? Is that something that you'll
It's possible that I get involved, but no, it won't have anything to do with. We want to make people better. We want to send them to the areas that most need it. And I think we're going to have something very soon. It's going good. Jeff?
Can you assure the American people? We're so frightened. We're all beta males here in the press room. We're all just scared of our own shadows. We're afraid if we die, we won't be able to grow our little goatees and wear our Birkenstocks in the summer and go on vacations with our life partners. Please, will you assure the American people that you're going to take care of us, Bad Man Orange? Ugh. Someone says, in the Herald buried the story. The Herald, we had the story. Was it in the Globe? Was it in the Springfield Republican? Was it in the Worcester Tele? Yeah, it was in the Herald. Come on. 844-500-4242. Dan Horowitz has a great story. Lost Common Sense, How America Lived Through the Asian Flu of 1957. This is from a New York Times editorial on September 17th, 1957. 1957. Let us all keep a cool head about Asian influenza as the statistics on the spread and the virulence of the disease began to accumulate. Let us all keep a cool head. When was the last time the New York Times ever wrote about keeping a cool head on coronavirus or anything that involves Donald Trump? We'll take some calls when we come back. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr. I recently had a dental emergency, and where did I go? Perfect Smiles. I've said this before, but this reminded me again of what a perfectionist Dr. Houghton is. He is a veneer engineer, a world-class dental artist. Being on TV, it's important that I look my best. Dr. Houghton did that for me, and he can do it for you too. Right now, when a lot of people don't want to go into the city, Perfect Smiles is conveniently located in Nashua, New Hampshire, and parking is free. I was impressed to see all the state-of-the-art safety protocols that Perfect Smiles has taken since the virus. You'll feel safe and confident when you visit Perfect Smiles. Call 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, or go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on the Perfect Smiles banner. You can also see my video at PerfectSmiles.com. Perfect Smiles. Change your smile. Change your life.
He might not be flashy, but he's there when it counts. Here's 1 minute of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
For the first time in my memory, I agree with Nancy Pelosi. I am indeed the Grim Reaper when it comes to the socialist agenda that they've been ginning up over in the House.
You've watched the fight. You've watched the tactics. But here's what I want to tell you. In the very near future, Judge Kavanaugh will be on the United States Supreme Court.
Noted with great interest the Green New Deal, and we're going to be voting on that in the Senate. We'll give everybody an opportunity to go on record and see how they feel about the Green New Deal.
Well, first on the impartiality issue, do you think Chuck Schumer is impartial? Do you think Elizabeth Warren is impartial?
No.
Bernie Sanders is impartial? So let's quit the charade. This is a political exercise. Nobody is supposed to be guilty until proven innocent in the United States of America. Look, we're at an impasse. We can't do anything until the Speaker sends the papers over, so everybody enjoy the holidays.
With all the uncertainty in the world, feeling safe at home has never been more important. It's why I want to talk to you about Simply Safe Home Security. They're longtime friends of the Howie Carr Show, and for good reason. Simply Safe has made it easy to finally get comprehensive protection for your home. There's no technician or salesperson that needs to come and disrupt your house. You don't need to pay any outrageous monthly fees or sign a 2-year contract. You just order online, set it up yourself in under an hour, and your home is protected 24/7 with emergency dispatch for break-ins, fire, and more. All for just 50 cents a day. And we're not the only fans of Simply Safe. U.S. News and World Report named Simply Safe Best Overall Home Security of 2020. Go to simplysafehowie.com to try it out for yourself. That's simplysafehowie.com to make sure they know that our show sent you. That's simplysafehowie.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Is Kennedy Babylon 2 your last book?
No, if I think of another topic for a book I want to write, I'll go for it. But I think it's the last of my Kennedy Babylon series. I made Kennedy Babylon 2 kind of long because I wanted to get everything in there. Now there's other stuff I could write about, but I'm Kennedy'd out.
Since having the sleeve operation, do you miss not eating big meals?
No, I don't. I can still eat what I used to eat. I just can't eat as much. I'm now very surprised how much I used to eat. I'm surprised at how much people I eat with consume. It's just hard to believe that I used to eat that much, but no, it's not a problem.
How is Mr. Gooner since Pearl's passing?
Mr. Gooner is drowning his sorrows in food.
What is the most trouble you ever got into as a kid?
My father was giving me grief one time up at Moosehead Lake in Maine, and I threw a rock at him. He didn't much like that.
Are we starting to feel bad for Joe Biden? Sorta. Are we going to play his gaffes anyway? Of course.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Now we need to stand behind Jamie Harrison, the next president, next senator. I'm looking forward to appointing the first African-American woman to the United States Senate. Just like here in California, here in Nevada. Back in the spring, late fall, late spring, late winter, early fall. Anyway, you know what I mean. Look, tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday. I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I? We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. It says you cannot have 20, 30, 40, 50 clips in a weapon. We'll see who's sleepy.
Mr. Vice President, thank you.
All right, Chuck, thank you very much.
All right, it's crisp.
Sometimes I wake up and I think it's 1920 and not 2020.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. So this is Dan Horowitz. And he's the one, he wrote this column about this, how America lived through the Asian flu of 1957. And so he asked his father, he said, so what was it like to live through the Asian flu of 1957? What's the Asian flu? Replied my father, who was in second grade at the time. Well, do you remember the Hong Kong flu of 1968? I followed up, thinking surely he'd remembered something that had killed around 100,000 people, the equivalent of 160,000 today, when he was in college and very news savvy. I remember the riots in 68 and the oil crises in the 70s, but I don't recall anything about flus. So I told you I've recently read in a couple of those old mystery books I get about the Asiatic flu. It's mentioned in passing. You know, the mayor's sick today because he has the Asiatic flu. He won't be to the city council meeting, or, someone had to bring a new secretary down to Mexico because the other one had the Asiatic flu. But it wasn't the end of the world like this allegedly is. And it's really an interesting story because he goes back to this this physician named D.A. Henderson, the former dean of the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health, who was widely credited with helping eradicate smallpox. He co-authored an analysis of the public response to the 1957 Asiatic flu in an attempt to draw parallels and glean some lessons in preparing a response to the swine flu. He's dead now, but he wrote this about 10 years ago before he died. Health officials then understood what our leaders today clearly don't, which is that for a virus that targets only certain people with serious complications or death and is broadly mild, and today downright asymptomatic in most others, the worst thing you could possibly do is treat every case like a serious case, needlessly stressing medical care and risk spreading the virus in hospitals to vulnerable people already there. What about the ability to arrest the virus through superstitious middle-aged rituals like virtue signaling, mask wearing, and social isolating of the healthy with the sick? As Henderson observed, there is no practical advantage in the closing of schools or the curtailment of public gatherings as it relates to the spread of this disease. The Surgeon General at the time, this is during the Eisenhower administration, said the epidemic was not alarming and estimated that the fatality rate was no more than 2/3%. By contrast, in most areas of the country today, the fatality rate from COVID-19 appears to be closer to 0.2 to 0.3%, and in some places significantly lower. Taylor, do you have those cuts from Charlie Parker, saying that the first cut is after the riots in early June. He was talking about how low everybody was getting free tests. All the rioters and looters were getting free tests. I guess you just had to show an empty bottle of Hennessy and they'd give you a free test, or an empty jewelry box or high-end sneaker box. And so they were giving out the free tests, and he was talking about how great it was.
Last week, as many people know, the Commonwealth offered COVID-19 viral testing for people who recently attended a large gathering. Like the demonstrations and protests
riots,
to honor George Floyd.
Looting.
And this morning we got the final results of that. Out of 17,617 tests that were conducted statewide, 2.5% came back positive for COVID-19, which is reasonably consistent with the statewide numbers that we see in our daily testing.
So in other words, he's happy about 2.5%. Now let's compare this with people who violated the law, who were looters in large degrees, and who, at least some of whom, committed arson, fired a gun in one case at police officers in the city of Boston. No problem. 2.5% test rate positive. Now, this is last Friday, talking about all the troubling clusters.
Positive test rates have ticked up, going from about 1.7 to about 2%. Obviously, we would prefer to see 0 new cases of COVID, but we know that's just not going to be the case until we have a medical breakthrough like a vaccine.
Oh, that was last Monday. So he was concerned about it being about 2%. He wasn't concerned when it was 2.5%. That was good news when it was involving the rioters. But when you and I are just trying to go about our lives and we test and it's 2%, then he may have to crack down on the law-abiding citizens. Wasn't it enough when he took away your menthol cigarettes? Now he's going to double the gas taxes. Don't make him shut down the restaurants again, even more than they're already shut down. Diane, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Diane.
Hi, Howie. Thank you for having me. I listen to you very, very closely and often for many years. I'm 73 years old, senior citizen, and so isn't my husband. My husband is a retired Springfield firefighter of 73 years old. He's quite ill now. Back in November, he got diagnosed with liver cancer.
I'm sorry.
And so he thank you. And so he's terminal. Now, what happened to me is I've been driving a school van for 10 years, and at night, to make ends meet, even at my age, I have been working at a local university food service at night. So I would work 6:30 in the morning till almost 4:30 with the school van, and then at night I would do 4:30 to almost 10:30 at night. So I anyways, back in March, the school van, of course, closed down due to COVID. So there was no school bus driving in March. I lost that job. And then I lost my night job, which was Westfield State University, which also closed down due to COVID. And so I'm going back to one of them so far. I do know in September, but I haven't gotten the schedule on the other. I don't know about.
So what point did you want to make, Diane? Go ahead.
Okay, the $600 that we were all getting of people who are unemployed, which was the PUA pandemic, and you hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, those people shouldn't be getting their $600 because they're just using it as bailout money." Well, in my case, I'd like everyone to know that no, it's not. People like me are not using it for bailout money. I need it for my husband's medicines. I lost 2 jobs. I need it to pay a mortgage. I need it to meet car payments. We need it to meet utilities.
I know, Diane, I understand that a lot of people do, like yourself, need the money. But, it's, the problem is it was a one-size-fits-all solution to a problem because of let's face it, the incompetence of most unemployment agencies, not just in Massachusetts, which you'd expect, of course, given this state's dreary record, but most states just couldn't handle it. So they just blanketly gave everybody $600, and it's ineffective. I mean, I just got an editorial here in front of me from the Wall Street Journal, Economists versus Common Sense, and a California worker who previously made $300 a week would receive $150 in normal state benefits plus $600 for a total of $750. So if you're unemployed in California and you were making $300 a week, you'd now be making $750. The same worker in Oregon would get $795. $795 a week. Honda, this is in Ohio. Honda last week asked U.S. office employees to work on its assembly line because the $600 fillip has made it difficult to find temporary workers to run its assembly plant in Ohio. An average worker who had made $17 an hour, $6.80 a week in Ohio, has been able to collect $9.40 each week with the federal boost. So the people who were laid off the Honda assembly line went from $6.80 a week to $9.40 a week on unemployment. So that's the problem here. Notably, states with more generous unemployment benefits for low-wage workers generally have had larger declines in labor force participation. In Kentucky, for instance, the lowest paid 25% of unemployed workers on average have made 216%, more than double what they did working. The state's labor participation force has since declined 4.8 percentage points since February. So that means if you had 20 people working in February, you only have 19 working now. And COVID-19 didn't kill them, obviously. So as the Wall Street Journal concludes, if you subsidize not working, you get less work. You understand that, right, Diane?
Yeah, because it's not new to me. I mean, prior to all this, many years ago, I worked. My thing was working in hospitals, and of course, way back then, one of the hospitals had layoffs, so not new to me because I had to go and find another medical job, and I found it in a cardiology office. I never gave up. And I did that job for 14 years and the hospital job for 10.
So you should be, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's just, again, there are a lot of people there, even in Massachusetts with the highest unemployment rate in the nation, thanks to Charlie Baker. I mean, there's still jobs that are going unfilled. And I don't know how you're going to get people to go back to work at some of these jobs. Maybe not all of them, but some of these jobs when you're offering them more $600 a week to stay on their couch. Thanks for the call, Diane. Bob, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Bob.
Yes. Hi, Howie.
Hi.
Yes, I was wondering your thoughts on this, but I have two thoughts on Joe Biden. Either one, this is all just a show. And it's his way of getting out of going to jail because he got
I don't
amnesia.
think it's Bob. I don't think it's a show. I don't. You don't really think that, do you?
Right. The other thing is, why are they waiting so long to pull this guy? I think because nobody can debate Trump; that he'll just chew him up. And the closer they get to the election, before they yank him out, there won't be any debates, and no liberal is going to be able to stand against Trump in a debate. And that's my opinion.
Well, I think that. Until very recently, they thought the polls were correct and that they were going to just run away with it, even though a majority of the voters, I think, knew or know that Biden is senile. And now, however, it appears that the polls are reflecting more of what we believed all along, which is it's not a runaway victory for Dementia Joe. And so now you begin to see these stories popping out that the Democrats are very concerned about his dementia and that he's getting worse. Dan Bongino even had a tweet out about it. Said he'd talked with some top Democrats who were very worried. But I don't think they're going to make a move. I think you got some. I think there's something to what you said that they don't want to put in somebody who would have to debate Trump. They'd rather stay with Biden and just say, no, he shouldn't have to debate Trump and make this specious argument that you can't debate somebody who lies all the time, as if Joe Biden doesn't lie all the time. Joe Biden doesn't, in some cases, I don't even think he knows when he's lying or when he's mixing up the facts. He has no idea what state he's in. He doesn't even know what hall he's in his hometown. He doesn't know how much money was in the stimulus relief package 10 years ago. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know how many students were killed at Kent State. He doesn't know how many women are in the workplace. He doesn't know how many people have died from gun violence he said 120 million people have died from COVID-19. Only he called it COVID-9 when he wasn't calling it the Wuhan flu. He doesn't have a clue. I don't know what they're going to do. But I think at this point it's too late to get rid of him off the ticket. Thanks for the call, Bob. I'm Howie Carr.
Keep it here, chumps. More Howie Carr after this.
Everyone knows PayPal, but did you know they're teaming up with Honey to save you money? Honey is the free online shipping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart. And now it's part of the PayPal family. Just add Honey to your computer and shop on all your favorite sites like normal. When you check out, just click the little Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. Then watch your price drop. Honey works on nearly every online store, including Walmart, DoorDash, Home Depot, Lululemon, Macy's, and more. And Honey has found its users over $2 billion in savings. That's why it has over 100,000 five-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. Plus, it's free to use and installs in just a few seconds. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie to start saving today. joinhoney.com/Howie.
Biden might be the frontrunner for the Democrats, but that isn't stopping him from serving up a whole lot of gaffes. Take a listen.
I believe that the president is literally an existential threat to America for three reasons. One, he is a genuine threat to our... I had permission to hug Lonnie. He says, let's make America great again. Let's make America America again. I think I'm either low IQ or slow, or I don't know what I am. Slow Joe Biden. Thanks for the Mary, and I'm going to be here a lot. I want the press to know she pulled me close. I just want you to know, okay? President Trump inherited an economy from Obama Biden. By the way, he gave me permission to touch it. They can't even figure out how to deal with the fact that they have this great division between the China Sea and the mountains in the east, in the west.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day. Once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Did you have any pets when you were younger?
I had a cat named Dexter. That was my first pet. And then I had possession of 2 poodles when I lived in Palm Beach, Princess and Frisky. They weren't really my dogs, but I took care of them. They lived with me. So they were my dogs. I loved those poodles.
When you were a kid, what was the best gift you ever received?
I got this wooden fort from FAO Schwartz in Palm Beach, about the age of 6 or 7, 10 soldiers to go along with it. Such a cool fort. I had that fort for maybe close to 10 years.
What is your all-time favorite movie?
Probably Goodfellas. I love Goodfellas. I love it even more than The Godfather.
What is your favorite dessert?
Oh, that's a tough one. Probably chocolate ice cream, followed by vanilla ice cream, followed by coffee ice cream.
This is Jay in Hingham, Massachusetts.
This is Gloria from Haverhill, Mass.
Hi, this is Joe from Howie in the Hills, Florida, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242. 774 says, you cannot refuse to return to work when laid off. That's called quitting your job. Unemployment stops. 774, do you really think everything's on the level? Do you really think that they keep that close a tab on you when you're trying to cheat the system? Please. 781, my friend's son, who was a part-time dishwasher while in school, is getting a total of $800 a week in unemployment. He just bought a $6,000 ATV with the money. Yeah, there was a story on the front page of the Wall Street Journal today. Debts on credit cards fall amid pandemic because there's less demand for new borrowing because you can't really go anywhere or do anything much. And so people are using this extra money to pay down their credit card bills. They're continuing to pay down balances, said the senior vice president at Equifax, the credit reporting firm. They're using the injection of government stimulus, quite frankly, to put themselves in a better position. In the U.S., total outstanding credit card debt fell by 11% between February and the end of June. That's $100 billion. $100 billion. Part of the decline in credit card debt is the result of people spending less on their cards because of the restrictions imposed during the martial law. The combination of state and federal employment benefits have meant that around 2/3 of U.S. workers who were laid off or furloughed are eligible to receive more in unemployment than they were earning on the job. Plus, the U.S. stimulus legislation also allowed people to defer payments on their federally backed mortgages for up to a year and most federal student loans through September, so they have no expenses and they're making more money. Alexis Smith, a residential life administrator at a college in upstate New York, was furloughed from her job in March when the college sent students home. Miss Smith, 24 years old, received $900 a week in unemployment payments, nearly twice her normal salary. The extra money gave her the opportunity to start paying the $10,000 in debt she had accumulated on multiple cards. 844-500-4242. It's amazing, it's 413, it's amazing to see how the media completely ignored the swine flu when Dear Leader was president. If the bubonic plague hit, it would still have been totally ignored. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that at all. So anyway, here's the Maryland State Department of Health. This is going back to the 57, the Asiatic flu. The Maryland State Department of Health referred to the Asiatic flu, which killed more people than the COVID-19 is killing, referred to pandemic cases as being mild diseases, noting that the virus does not cause more serious illness than other types of flu. It simply affects more people. The 57-58 pandemic was such a rapidly spreading disease that it quickly became apparent to U.S. health officials that efforts to stop or slow down its spread were futile. So they didn't try. In 2006, Henderson, this is the guy from Johns Hopkins, co-authored a paper in which he observed, there are no historical observations or scientific studies that support the confinement by quarantine of groups of possibly infected people for extended periods in order to slow the spread of influenza. Someone tell that to Charlie Parker, would you? Thus, from 1957 until fairly recently, until the medical profession became politicized, when did that happen? They all understood that we lack the ability to stop the spread of a flu-like virus. The best we can do is treat it without sowing panic. Someone tell that to Charlie Baker. As Henderson warned, experience has shown that communities faced with epidemics or other adverse events respond best and with the least anxiety when the normal social functioning of the community is least disrupted. Again, Charlie Parker didn't get that memo, did he?
Did this just happen?
Yeah, in 1957. What a shame, says Dan Horowitz, that Henderson and the common sense that defined America until so very recently are no longer living. Amen to that. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
These days, a lot of companies are busier than a set of jumper cables at a West Virginia wedding trying to improve their brands. Brand names we've known and loved for years are vanishing before our very eyes. And while we can no longer visit the International House of Burgers, we can take comfort in knowing that the great Matthews Brothers brands won't change. That's because our wicked awesome windows and doors were named for real people. For example, our Walkett brand is named after the oldest founding brother of the company. Spencer Walkett Matthews began studying his craft at the age of 21. When he was 25 years old, he was joined by his brother Noah, then his brother Sanford, and founded the Matthews Brothers Company. Spencer Walkett was obsessed with quality, and he personally inspected every piece that left our factory those first crucial years. For 35 years, he stood at the helm of the company as we gained a reputation second to none for quality, consistency, and reliability. This is what Spencer Walkett Matthews stood for, and it's why we named our premier window line after him. You can learn more about our wicked awesome Maine-made windows and doors, but only at Better Lumber Yards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. That's Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
So now you've broken your elbow. Have you ever broken any other bones?
When I was 8 years old, I broke my leg. I was playing touch football in Portland, and a big kid, a 15-year-old, tackled me. When I was in my 30s, I was going down the stairs, and one of the kids' toys was on the stairs, and I tripped on it and broke my foot. I lost a tooth playing touch football when I was just out of Deerfield. I got smacked in the jaw. My tooth went up, and I still have a bridge, a crown from that mishap. I have a replacement hip, and now I have a bunch of pins in my left elbow.
When do you plan to retire?
I don't plan on retiring. As an old football coach once said, once you retire, there's only one big moment left. You know what that is.
There are plenty of differences between Trump and the Democrats running for 2020, but the main one is Trump's pretty funny. Take a listen.
What advice would you give to the 25-year-old Donald Trump knowing what you know today?
Don't run for president. I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay? It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, I never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. Can you imagine if I had? What a mess I'd be. I'd be the world's worst. Other countries, big countries, India and others, we had to pay because they considered them a growing country. They were a growing country. I said, what are we? Are we allowed to grow too? Okay. No, are we allowed to grow? I try like hell to hide that bald spot, folks. I work harder. Doesn't look bad. Hey, we're hanging in. I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year because I've destroyed her political career, and now I won't get a chance to run against her, and I would have loved it.